everyone just maybe if everyone just turned their camera off. Maybe
Max, that was the dirtiest picture I've ever seen. Why are you showing that to us? Oh, we're on air. Okay. Hey, anyway, we're actually gonna. Max, like, what? We're gonna have a hangout tonight. I'm not gonna be a part of it. I'm going to bed. Fuck you all. But I guess Ocean wanted to have a debate or discussion or an informal thing with Wyatt on one, paganism versus Christianity, and two, is presuppositionalism useful? Is it good for anything? So Max is going to take charge. Max is going to moderate and have the flow. Everybody else can ask questions. I don't care. Just don't mess up my channel, and I'll listen in occasionally on my laptop. So
there's a lot of Christians in here. Holy shit.
Okay. So the discussion tonight is going to be between Ocean and Wyatt. So I'm a theist and I'm a Catholic. I'm not a presuppositionalist, but I'm not a pagan, so I think I'm in good middle ground. From what I could best assess of your two positions from the last hangout, Ocean, your claim is that through actually I should go to Wyatt first.
My claim is that presuppositionalism sucks and that paganism is better than Christianity.
Right, and Wyatt's claim is that's not true. But Wyatt is but just to explain what Wyatt's presuppositionalism is, from what I've gathered, Wyatt, you seem to be having a Clarkian approach. You believe that everyone starts off with some foundational axiom, and from there they go on to construct a worldview. And the Bible is supposed to be taken as this one huge proposition. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and everything was. And, just like think of all the verses as one huge proposition. And the whole Bible is just this one huge thing, and all of it is true. And from that, you can infer other truths, and taking those truths, you can understand the world around you.
Wyatt, that was a solid opening statement from Max.
Wyatt is would that characterize your position?
Yep.
Okay. So, Wyatt, would it be fair to let Ocean start off?
No. Let him start off. Let Wyatt start off. I want to hear it.
Fair enough.
Because he's
all right.
He's got the bone to pick with me more than the other way around.
Fair enough.
All right. So, hey guys, this is White Mickus. I will be defending the presuppositional Christian approach versus the paganism approach to this. I have not really. I haven't
studied either. Don't worry about it.
I haven't really prepared for this debate on the paganism, but I spent a lot of time with presuppositional argumentation. So I think we could. Basically hit the ground running with. So we can hit the ground running with this. So opening statement. Yeah, that's my opening statement.
Okay.
Ocean, your report.
Are you gonna go? Are we going back and forth with this? Okay.
Yes.
So, I'm glad that you're moderating, because if there is a middle ground between Christianity and paganism, it is Catholicism. So there is that. With presuppositionalism, my issue with presuppositionalism is that it's not at all, it's not convincing. It doesn't work as something that actually has a turnover for Christianity. It just kind of makes assertions, and that's it. I would be hard pressed to actually find the value in it. And I guess that would be, if I were to put forward a resolve, there would be a counter argument to him talking about the value of presuppositionalism. I would just say that it doesn't have any value. It's not convincing. There's no turnover rate to it, and it's only consistent within itself. It doesn't really have anything else beyond that. As far as paganism as a comparison to Christianity, polytheism in general is better than Christianity, and then beyond that, my personal tradition of heathenry would be better than Christianity. Heathenry would be the worship of the Norse gods, and in that, it doesn't have the problem of evil. It doesn't have the Earthrow dilemma. It doesn't have a lot of the other problems that Christianity has, especially if you're going to be a Christian that believes in the infallibility of book thing. Christianity or Norse paganism just doesn't have that problem. Anyway, that's my argument as a foundation. I guess we can go into a discussion now.
Okay.
Okay.
Who wants to kick it off? Should I? Or
actually, could I just ask Ocean one question, maybe to help kick this off.
Yeah,
If
go
you're
for it.
going to, if you're going to compare, if you're going to say that presuppositionalist approaches could just as well work for paganism, I can see why it at least has, a book everyone can go to and read.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. What is going to be your starting off point? Is it going to be a particular belief, or is it going to be like some kind of holy script?
Oh, I can just say that I think that in the prior discussion that Wyatt and I had, I just referred to the Norse holy texts, the Havamal, the Eddas, and the sagas. I would include all of them as Norse holy texts. But what my argument with, as far as using the Odin argument against presuppositionalism, is presuppositionalism holds that God is infallible and so on. God cannot lie. All this jazz, and God is all knowing, and that He's said these things and therefore they're true, kind of thing. It's kind of a weird structure, but I'm just taking the starting point and saying, Odin has revealed X to me, and then that's fine. Odin being the god of wisdom, it can work as the basis for presuppositionalism just as well. Presuppositionalism doesn't necessarily give you Christianity on its own.
I see. And
That was
Wyatt,
really, really rambly and disorganized the way that I put that.
all right, Wyatt, where would your point of contention with what Ocean said be? Why can't it defend his brand of paganism as well as it does your Christianity?
Okay, your brand of paganism is what is polytheism, correct? That's why I heard.
Yeah, Norse polytheism. We can just.
Okay, so
It's actually, to be honest with you, I am a Norse Celtic syncretic reconstructionist, but for the purposes of this conversation, we can simply go with the Norse.
okay. So do these gods have conflicting views?
Do the gods have conflicting views all the time?
Yeah. Okay. So are these gods all knowing?
No.
No. Can these gods lie?
Yes.
Okay. So how could that be revelatory knowledge?
What do you mean?
Because you're saying that it could work just as well in presuppositional apologetics as Christian.
It works better, I think, because your God is simply okay. So you have a God that's all powerful, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but He can't lie.
It can't lie.
That's not all powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's not in His nature to lie.
Well, it's not in His nature to lie, but you're saying He can't do it. Like, you're saying He physically can't do it, but He's all powerful? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, here's the thing. He can't do anything. He can't do anything that's outside of His own nature.
Okay, so He's not all powerful.
Wyatt, just to bring up something, I'm not sure what you mean when you say God can't do something that's on His nature. From what I understand, you're just saying God's not able to do what God's not able to do. Like, all His nature means, as far as someone might understand it, is by definition. Like,
Yeah, it's not in
It's a
His
meaningless statement in addition to being wrong.
It's not in His personality. Not in His personality to lie. It's not in His attributes to lie.
Right.
Right.
I agree with Max when he's saying that that means that God is not able to do. God is able to do everything except which isn't. But if He's not able to do certain things, then He wouldn't be all powerful, right? How is He all powerful with limitations?
He's only limited to what his nature is,
And
Like
is
I
therefore
said, we
not
have
all
it.
powerful.
well, so
Our will is subject to our nature.
Like, I am more powerful than God because I can lie.
Like,
God can't
well,
do that. I can do something He can't do.
wait, maybe we should just ask Wyatt what he means when he says omnipotent, because like, there are certain
No, I have
things
an understanding of what all powerful is. If he's going to say that all powerful has limitations to it, then it's not going to be all powerful. That just violates the definition of all powerful.
So do you think it's all powerful to, I don't know, make squared circles? Like, would that have to also?
I think there's a difference between violating logic and then an action that doesn't violate any logic.
Oh, okay.
There's something like I can do it. If I can do it and God cannot do it, then there's a serious problem.
Hold on. If God, like I said, if God can violate his own nature, he won't be God.
I can violate. Wait, what does it mean to violate one's own nature? Because that's another thing I'm having problems with. For example, I can't run at 200 miles per hour, and that's not because of like.
That's because of physical limitations. That's
Well, okay, but I can't. I also can't slam dunk a basketball anymore. There would have been a time when I was younger where I could, and it was in my nature, but now it's not. I mean, is it just out of my nature as a 25-year-old to slam dunk a basketball? Because you look in the NBA and people definitely can do that. They have that nature. Like,
well, we have personality traits, don't we? We can't do anything that's outside of our own personality traits, or else we wouldn't be us anymore, right?
well, no one can change their personality traits, can they not?
Well, God cannot change. Another one.
I can do something that's against my personality traits.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm again more powerful than God.
there.
So again,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Or is it only a...
Well, I mean, Max has been more or less participating on my side, so I guess go ahead. This is not really a structured debate, more or less. It's just kind of a discussion that's mainly between me.
I'm only asking this stuff to clear things up. I'm not asking for the point of contention.
Yeah, you've been making points for me. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, hey, real quick though. Real quick, can Wyatt unplug his mic and then plug it back in real quick just to see if that fixes anything?
Yeah. That should be done.
Good.
No.
No,
Drop out and come back in.
No, we've done that already.
I don't think we can.
We've done that already. We've already done that. Wyatt, just take a quick time to respond. Maybe take some time to clarify what you mean by things like omnipotence and stuff, and then we can
Yeah.
dialogue with your response.
I mean, I asked if his God was all powerful, and he said yes. If he's going to be walking back on that.
Well, here's the thing. All powerful means to do things within reason.
That's
It's not
not.
reasonable to go against your own nature.
What's his? How are you? What?
Oh,
No. If you're gonna say something is all powerful, I assume that means that's more powerful than humans, right?
It's not his
Unless you're
nature
going to say
lie.
that God is less powerful than humans, yet all powerful.
Hold on. It's not his nature to lie, and it's not in his nature to change.
I submit again.
That's his traits that God has revealed to us who he is.
Right.
So basically, it's not in his nature to lie. It's not in his nature to change. So he can't change his personality to say, okay, now I can lie now. So God cannot change.
Do you admit then that in some aspects, your God is less powerful than any human that can communicate?
No.
Okay. But we can do things that he can't do.
He can do things. Is lying a power?
It's definitely an ability.
It's an ability.
Yeah.
But
I have abilities that he does not have. That I have abilities that are outside of God's limitations.
Augustine, you know what? I was going to bring up a point of history, but it's a you guys discussion. I'm
So
sorry.
I had a question.
Yeah, sure, General. Go ahead. Who's it for?
Well, this is to Ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
So, if we have an ability to, in this case, lie, and God cannot lie, why should that necessarily transfer over into potency? So, omnipotence, all power. So, when we lie, we're lying in the context of decay, mortality, finiteness,
Mm-hmm.
and entropy, whereas God, who is outside corruption, by definition, if he's all perfect, then he is only perfect.
What
Therefore,
is
there's
corruption?
no such thing as quote-unquote lying and death and decay.
How are you connecting lying to entropy, and then saying God is outside of like? It
Because
seems like
lying
you're creating
is-
an arbitrary line that it just works for you in the conversation.
Well, in this case, God lie, and Wyatt is saying no, he can't. Therefore, you come back and say, well, therefore he's not all powerful.
Right.
Out of curiosity, what's the difference between? Maybe we should also characterize the difference.
I don't see. Are you pointing out that there's something wrong with that line of reasoning?
I think.
What I'm saying is that your criticism of Wyatt is unfounded when the very whatever the existence of God is in. So whatever form he has, whatever like dimensional existence he's in, just even though Christians would say he doesn't exist in that dimension, but just for the sake of argument, wherever he is, it is so other than the world that you and I live in.
Right.
So therefore, you can't by default say, "Oh, he's not lying, therefore he's not all powerful."
I guess I could also say that I can walk, and that God cannot walk because he doesn't
Yeah,
have
but
legs.
then you're walking due to a gravitational pull with a certain bipedal motion versus
Right.
God who transcends 10 dimensions.
Here's something I'm kind of curious about.
Omnipotent.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very all powerful.
Actually, here's something I'm kind of curious about. Wait.
That's
Just so I can just to jump in here. Maybe it's also helpful to characterize an ability as opposed to a disability. So, lying seems to be the opposite of truth-telling. Yet, one could characterize truth-telling as an ability as well as lying. What's the difference between an ability and an inability? Like, when someone says they have a mental disability, we're speaking of things which they lack a capacity for. Yet there are some people that means, but one could argue, well, they can think in a way that I'm excluded from because they lack this capacity. So really, it's an ability. Now, but this is kind of where things get murky. One could argue, for example, that lying is a disability because lying ruins your moral character and degrades you in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it would be helpful for all of us, or you guys, to work out.
If there's
a
somebody
definition.
dying and they ask you whether or not they look good today, and you say yes when the answer is really no, and you lie to them, does that mean that your moral character has had something inflicted upon it, and that your reputation should go down?
You're not lying. Well, I don't think you're lying to them when you tell them that they're beautiful.
No, that they look good, that they're aesthetically.
If somebody it's just a very specific question. It's like not in like the oobly doobly sense, but like the very specific sense of
physically.
Am I well dressed today?
Right.
He's wearing a plaid or something.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't matter. You're beautiful.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
you could just ask, do I look good to go out today? And you don't. Somebody says yes. Does that mean your character has been, fucked in some sort?
Actually,
white lies. God can't do these things. Like I'm sure that Jesus was just like brutally honest in very inappropriate situations. If Mary Magdalene had asked Jesus, "Does this dress make me look fat?" and then Jesus was like, "Yeah," I don't know if Jesus would have been in the doghouse or not. Like,
I don't think they were in a relationship in that sense. But in terms of white lies, I think lying. I think when you do lie, that's just one could argue that's an inability to cope with the way things truly are. And when you lie to someone and tell them that they look good and they go out and they look hideous, you're not really doing them any favors in that regard either.
I guess not.
Right, Ocean.
Doesn't
Jesus describe himself as the truth? Doesn't Jesus describe himself as the truth in John 14:6?
I guess.
Okay. So what does 1 John 2:21 say? No lie is the truth. So Jesus is going. So if Jesus were to lie, he would be violating the lie of identity.
Right. I'm trying to convince you that the Bible is possible to be a lie. So, that I think that any God can lie. I think that your God can lie as well. So it's not necessarily strange that your God would lie.
How do you?
And that's how presuppositionalism would work out.
I'm talking about a God who first of all has no reason to lie, basically because
according to his lies, of course not.
according.
Yeah, you're taking everything that he's saying at face value when I'm trying to say that your God is possibly dishonest, and you're just trying to like if we were dealing with a human, and you were like, this guy's an honest guy, and I gave you reason to think that he might be dishonest, and you're like, no, he says he's honest.
But your paganism worldview says that these gods have the ability to lie, so you can't trust the revelations that these gods are giving you.
No, you choose to trust whatever God that you're trusting in. I think that's definitely true.
Gods, but they have the ability to lie.
I think that my gods are honest about the fact that they lie sometimes. Yours isn't.
Again, but if it's not in his nature to lie, because Jesus described himself as a way to.
Again, you're talking to somebody else. If you talk to another human, and you're like, this guy is a liar. No. He says he's an honest person. He says it's not in his nature to lie. Do you believe that? Like that just doesn't make any sense to me.
So you're saying that presuppositionalism works with paganism. So if your God lies, then you have no good reason to think that they're not lying to you when they give you a revelation. But whereas my God cannot lie.
What do you mean I have no good... Do people lie?
Yeah, people lie, but you have...
Do you have any reason to believe people when they communicate with you?
Not unless it's demonstrated to be the truth.
So you're skeptical to everybody when they communicate to you?
They may be. So here's the thing.
You, like, in your life you are? This again doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So you're worshiping gods that have a possibility of lying.
Right. So are you.
These gods are not all-knowing.
Neither is yours.
My God is all-knowing. Actually,
no, he says he is.
Everything.
Just to
from the beginning.
You have no evidence that your God is all-knowing other than he says so.
Well, he's presupposing it. To be fair, he's presupposing it because he's accepting the Bible as his indisputable axiom. So he's
right. And at that point, we get to the question that Frank wants me to ask in the side chat of why I should take the Bible as my own standard.
Right. Right. Just one more thing.
I'm just fighting him block by block before we get there.
Okay.
Because if you don't accept my axiom for eternal critique, then basically you're left in skepticism because you reject all axioms. The axiom of logic.
I'm fine with skepticism. That's not a problem for me. That's not a problem for pagans either. Many of us are skeptics, including myself.
Wait, so do you know that you don't know anything?
What do you mean?
Because that's the conclusion of what skepticism actually is. We can't really prove anything.
No, skepticism is basically just a questioning of things.
No, philosophical skepticism basically is a philosophical conclusion that we can't know anything. So you're left in this.
That's not what it is. No. Do you understand what skepticism is?
That's how he was using the term. The Ocean. That's how Wyatt was using the term when he initially said this leads to skepticism. The notion that you don't know.
I thought he was talking about skepticism as in the way anybody else recognizes the term other than him.
Oh no,
that's actually use a word. I like
that. Well, there are plenty. That is one way of understanding the term skepticism. That's how it was originally understood in ancient Greece. There were the Pharonean skeptics and the academic skeptics. So
the conclusion is that we know nothing, absolutely nothing. You could probably take it that far.
Yeah, the Pharoneans said that they just didn't know anything. And when you say, how do you know that? They would just say, I don't know that, I don't know that. And then you'd say, but if you knew that, wouldn't you know that? I don't know that about that either. And the academic skeptics would say something would actually prove you could know nothing, and then just gave up and said, well, let's move on. So
you could say that you could just reword it and say that we know nothing else.
Yeah. No, actually, they would say that, yeah, this defeats my argument too, but as long as it kills off all the others, I'm content. That's how they. Point being, why its use of skepticism is not as anachronistic as it might lead people on to be. Like now, it's presupposed that a skeptic is just a rational thinker who is critical of things before he believes them, or she. But it's not how it's historical usage.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I tend to go with the latter, but I don't really have a problem with the former. Is as long as you word the former as in that the only thing that the only thing that you can know is that you know nothing.
Well, if that's the case, then Wyatt, you don't know that presuppositionalism is a bad apologetic, because that would also be a knowledge claim.
Sure.
Because you're saying,
I just say I think that it's got bad functioning if you wanted to examine it in any way that's rational.
well, then you're just accepting reason as a hypothetical, and if so,
Right.
that's fine.
I provisionally accept a lot of things.
But you take them on as axiomatic truths in your worldview. Because remember, you rejected all axioms when you rejected my axiom.
Rarely do I use axioms. I don't really care about them. But
that's a claim in your view. Why should you do that?
You use the axioms.
But here's the
That's
better
a
way to go
claim in your view.
is to ask why I should be accepting, like Frank's point in the side chat, is why should I take your Bible as my standard?
And then you say, because according to your view, and anyone who doesn't take on your view has no standard, right? Why should he believe that?
Right.
You're
again,
trying to move.
Yeah, but why should I believe?
And then he chases me into skepticism, and he thinks he wins the
No.
argument that way.
Why should I believe his
He can't even do that. He can't chase you into skepticism because he's trying to make an internal critique of your view based on a claim presupposed within his own view. So why should he take on your view? You're effectively saying, take on my whole view, or according to my view, you can't have any view. Why should he take that on? You can't argue for that. It's not possible. It's dependent on your entire view. It's like, it's
the consequences of rejecting it are this way because of what you're rejecting, right?
Yeah.
That isn't.
You're right.
You're relying on your own view to make an internal critique of his view, but you have to prove it. Which would mean that you have to ask him questions about his view, but he has no obligation to answer any questions you ask about his view until you have met that burden of proof.
Right.
And if he doesn't answer any questions about his view, when you claim that all other views cannot have any foundation whatsoever, then all you're doing is making a baseless claim according to discourse.
Frank, I think it's time we let Wyatt respond. Wyatt?
I apologize.
What I did was when he rejected my axiom, and the point of fact, he rejected all axioms. He gave me no reason to accept any of his axioms whatsoever. So basically, if he rejects my axioms, I'm going to reject his, and that means that
I haven't put forward any axioms.
Then,
well, you're using the axiom of reason to debate with me, aren't you?
I'm saying I provisionally believe in reason. Do you disagree with it?
You provisionally believe in reasoning, but you can't prove that your reasoning.
That doesn't matter. Do you disagree with it? Do you think that reason is useless?
No, I do not.
Okay, then we can agree on that.
We can agree on that. But
so we can have a discussion based on reason. That's fine.
Right. So now you have to attack. So if he's attacking. So Wyatt, if you're going to attack Ocean's viewpoint, what you should do is attack why reason should not be accepted provisionally, but is always accepted. It's always something people believe in, even when they say they don't believe in it. Something akin to that.
I accept things until they fail.
You accept things until they fail.
Yeah, if it fails, I no longer accept it.
How do you know that reasoning hasn't failed?
Give me an example.
There's people with mental cases. How do you know that you're not one of them?
I don't.
Exactly.
Okay.
So basically.
So how do you get out of that?
By revelation from God.
Okay.
So
that doesn't. Why should I accept that?
Well, why should I accept that your reasoning is valid in the course of this debate?
I have received no revelation from your God. So why should I believe a revelation that I haven't received?
How do you know that you haven't received any revelation from my God?
I think I would realize that if I had. You're talking about like an all-powerful God coming down to me and giving some kind of revelation. I think I would notice. So you're saying this has happened to you, and you believe it. You believe your revelation because you've had some kind of supernatural experience involving the entity that you believe in, right? I have in fact not had that experience, but I have had counter experiences with different entities. Therefore, I'm going to be trusting the entities that have been revealed to me, rather than yours who has not.
So you believe in tabula rasa then, right?
Tabula rasa. Why do you say that? I haven't had an experience with tabula rasa.
Tabula rasa is the notion of the blank slate. When you're born, you have no beliefs, no senses, no knowledge, and everything that comes to you is just given to you by nature as you develop. This was a very popular viewpoint in the 18th century, but now pretty much most psychologists reject it. They think that you have some innate linguistic capacities. For example, Noam Chomsky is one of these.
Yeah, I could believe that on an evolutionary basis. That makes sense.
Yeah,
there's like universal communication, so on.
So
there's some kinds of communication that just come packaged with instinct. That makes sense.
So you were born without any reasoning capacities.
Born without reasoning capacities? I don't necessarily know if I agree with that either.
Okay, so you have received revelation from God, basically. If you don't believe, accept the fact that you accept the
didn't you hear me say in this conversation that I have had supernatural experiences?
You have had supernatural experience.
Yeah, with gods, right? So
how
that's
do you
fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with there being gods existing. You're trying to argue with the wrong person. I'm a pagan. I'm a polytheist. I actually believe I have more faith than you do. But we're talking about why your God is the one that I should be believing in when I have received no revelation from him.
The question is, how do you know that you haven't received any revelation from him? My Bible contradicts that, basically.
Yes, your holy book contradicts that. Good job. What? Yeah. Why should I accept that?
Why should I accept your reasoning?
Why should I accept your holy book? What's the deal with your holy book?
Because if you're going to reject my axiom, then I'm going to go out and reject it. Then you have given me no justification to accept yours in this conversation.
All I'm rejecting is your holy book.
Well, that's my axiom.
Okay. Good luck with it.
So basically, if you reject my axiom, then I'll just reject.
Do you see how this line of argumentation is not convincing to people? Because you're just saying, if my book is true, then we're going to have a conversation. I can just simply say, look, you can believe in your holy book all you want to, but that doesn't really affect me. I don't care about your holy book.
It's a psychological state, not a rational state.
Sorry, you're hard to understand. What did you say?
The state of being convinced by something is a psychological state, not a.
Well, I'm saying my position is that that presuppositionalism is a bad apologetic, mainly because it's not a convincing apologetic. It doesn't do anything.
Because it's not.
But now, can you tell me why I need to accept your holy book?
Like I said, because without your skepticism.
So there's I
have other holy books, Wyatt.
If I just might come in here.
But those gods that wrote those holy books might have lied when they wrote those.
And how yours can too.
Well, they can't.
Yes, he can. The only evidence that you have of him not lying is his word. That doesn't mean anything.
Well,
you choose to trust that he doesn't lie. You choose to trust him.
That's based on my actions.
Right. That's your choice. You have chosen to trust that your God is not a liar simply out of gullibility. And that's it.
Well, you're choosing to believe your holy book simply out of gullibility, knowing that it is by God's nature.
I choose to trust the gods that will admit when they have lied, rather than the God who refuses to admit that he even can.
So how do you know that you're...
did you hear the last part of that statement?
Okay.
I choose to believe in the gods that admit that they have lied, rather than the one that refuses to admit that it's even possible for him to do so, and then say in the same breath that he is all-powerful.
So how do you know that they weren't lying when they written their holy book? How do you know that? I mean, if you're going to go by your Norse gods.
There are some things that are in my holy books that I disagree with, such as I don't think that the earth was carved out of Ymir's skull. I just don't.
Okay, so your gods were lying. when they said that.
It's possible. Maybe it was a story that meant for a different perspective.
Maybe.
Because there's more to that story than just that act, as there is with many of the mythological stories. So there are stories that, like, there is a long history of humanity of using stories for the sake there's storytelling for lesson teaching, and the stories of the gods are for much part that is that they are stories meant to teach lessons about how you live, what your relationship with them is supposed to be, what your relationship with the earth is supposed to be, and what your relationship with each other is supposed to be. Instead, you can't use your stories that way. You just have to assume that they're all the literal truth. You're young earth creationists as well, right?
Sure.
Right. So it leaves you very little wiggle room to actually learn from the text, because you're stuck on this lying bit.
But here's the thing. You said in the beginning that these pagan gods serve as a basis for presuppositionalism just as well as Christianity, but you've given no justification.
And the argument with that works the argument with that works thusly: if you're going to be saying that we can't have a rational discussion without your God, then I will choose the God of wisdom to go forward as the counter argument. The God of wisdom is Odin, and he is the wisest of gods, wiser than yours.
But the God of wisdom may lie. So you can't...
Right, but he is the wisest of gods. And if you're going to say that we can't have a rational discussion without a God in place to define what rationality is, then the God of wisdom would work as the one who would describe that. That rationality may not exist if it weren't for the God of wisdom. So fine, the God of wisdom is there, and now we can have a rational discussion.
So how do you know that... So basically, how do you know that Odin's the God of wisdom in the first place? He might have lied when he told you he was the God of wisdom.
I imagine that's certainly possible, but that doesn't get you out of your God possibly being a liar as well.
So you're saying it's possible.
Here's the thing: that you've provided no reason why your God can't lie. That is something that you're not going to be able to get out of. You cannot explain why it is impossible for your God to lie if he can communicate. You either have to say he can't communicate, therefore he can't lie because it's impossible for him to communicate, therefore there's no Bible. Or he can communicate and is all-powerful and therefore can communicate wrongly.
How do you know that? But you basically give no justification that Odin is the God of wisdom in the first place, so we don't even know if Odin's the God of wisdom. So
the only justification is that I trust Odin.
You trust Odin, but Odin might be lying to you when he says God of wisdom.
He might be. So might yours.
That's called the tu quoque fallacy.
Well, that just means you're both wrong then. Even if it is fallacious.
It doesn't even mean that we're wrong. It just means that it's possible that they're liars.
Can there be a
But I think that it's impossible for
Odin's
his God to not be able to lie, and the evidence that his God is a liar is that he says he can't do so.
I don't see how that's even a tu quoque fallacy, because Odin straight out admitted that he could be wrong, and you said that you aren't.
No, that is technically a tu quoque fallacy, but that's irrelevant. So a tu quoque fallacy is when somebody says,
and you.
But it basically it basically means
saying that is not always fallacious.
I'm saying that it applies in this situation.
Exactly.
Because he's trying to say your God is bad because your God is possibly a liar, and I'm saying that this doesn't matter as a criticism because yours follows the same problem. If you're going to say that my God is there is evidence that my God has lied before, and that evidence comes from him, and that is reason enough to suggest that we shouldn't trust anything that he says, then I can turn around and say that his God, the evidence that his God has lied is to say that he can't do so, and therefore we can't trust anything his God says either.
It's a tu quoque argument, not a tu quoque fallacy.
Yeah,
that's my point. That's my point here. It's not a fallacy here.
I see.
It's only fallacious when you're saying that the other person's positive, because it's a critique of two views. I don't remember how it's explained. I wrote a whole comment on this.
I was actually just going to explain that. Somebody could be hypothetically taking up an alternative position, and if one were to say that position is false because X, Y, or your position is false because then this absurd position would also work, then yeah, it would mean both arguments are flawed and both would have to be given up So Ocean could admit, yeah, you know what, my thing fails for those reasons you outlined, but you got to admit your thing fails too, because ultimately you have the same problem with your argument, don't you?
No, I don't.
Why don't you?
Why not?
Because, like I said, God revealed that he cannot lie.
According to
And-
his view, God cannot lie.
So you trust
And-
him, but just like I said earlier that I trust Odin, you trust your God.
You
But it
said
doesn't mean that it's
God,
impossible for him to lie. He's all powerful, right? Or
No,
at least he
according to
says
his
he
view,
is.
It is impossible.
I think that he says he's all powerful, then he says he can't lie. One of those is not true, therefore he's a liar.
Well, there could be an inconsistency in his view, and according to his view, there are no inconsistencies in his view.
Yeah, true. That is a good. Also, I guess Ocean could say, well, according to my such and such holy book, it says God can't. It says all beings lie and tell the truth in some circumstances.
Except it doesn't, so I'm not going to go with that.
Okay, or it doesn't. Hypothetically,
Although it does, there is stuff about that you can't trust people as for what they say, just straight out. Like that is in the Hofball.
Yeah, General wanted to jump in.
General, speak your mind.
I guess my question to Ocean. So, just to summarize, are you saying that your gods plural, right? They can lie and fail.
Any of them can, yes. Any of them can lie. Loki, for example, is known for lying.
Okay.
How do you know?
So, my question then would be: here we have. I'll just read two quotes. They're very small. So here we have the exact same mythology as in the Old Testament, where they contrasted these other gods with Yahweh, and Christian writers asked these questions. They said, what art can produce an imitation of him, in this case, Wyatt's God, so an imitation of him who precisely is boundless? And then he continues in saying, the production of these so-called gods relies on contributions. Their creator needs the blacksmith to prepare the tools and the whetstone for sharpening them. The bronzesmith needs coal and fire, while the constructor of the objects needs food and drink. It takes all this to prepare a god who is worshipped by these ignorant people. And skipping down, he does not copy divine characteristics, but human ones. He shapes his human image and adores his own image as if it were divine. And then finally, quickly, Athanasius says, how could he fail to pity them in this also, seeing that they worship them that cannot see, that cannot see? In hearing, they pray to them that cannot hear. Born with life and reason, people, as they are, call gods things that do not move at all, but do not even have life. Strange, and this is the key point that I'm asking you. Strangest of all, do they serve as their masters, beings whom they themselves keep under their own power? So these particular gods, it seems that you have a greater power than they, and they have very anthropomorphic, human-like characteristics. So, but Wyatt's God has absolutely no connection with Wyatt or you or I. That he is so beyond us.
How is this suggesting
so far
that
removed?
Humans have power over the gods?
Because in this context, the pantheon of gods that would then fit your context, these people would then take these particular gods and make idols out of them. And then it was a hilarious irony that the human worshippers would protect the idols as if the idols are helpless. So therefore the human worshippers didn't realize that their own gods
I have idols as well.
in essence helpless.
And if somebody tried to destroy the idols, then I would protect them as if they can't do anything because they're idols. They're not the god. I think this is just a fundamental misunderstanding of what an altar is used for.
No, but
because the altar is not the god.
These particular gods, though. Well, it depends on the context of the idol, because an idol is not some. These people practiced such a thing as where they would open the mouth of an idol, have the deity, or so they believed, literally inhabit the idol, and then they trap the deity in that spot.
That's
Whereas
not something
Yahweh
that shows up in Norse
make the-
paganism.
Oh, it doesn't.
No.
Okay.
Like
All
we
right. So then,
we make
because
idols, but those idols are a representation to make worship easier. It's very similar to Orthodox icons. You don't actually, like, when you make an icon, the icon is sacred, but not in the same way that the saint themselves is sacred. You know what I mean?
then I guess then the only question that will be valid in this context is, what art can produce an imitation of him who precisely is boundless? So you're creating an art. So is there a way,
Right.
for
That's the
example,
difference
Loki,
between, like, the Christian God claims to be infinite and all powerful and shapeless and so on, and then also says that he created humanity in his own image. But
yeah,
that isn't, like, there's something that doesn't follow there as well. But the pagan
Well,
gods are more limited beings.
again,
At least admit that they are, and you can
image-
take images of how they relay themselves to us. I don't necessarily think that
but
Thor is a humanoid form carrying a hammer, but that is the image of him that has been supplied. So that goes on my altar, is the man with the hammer.
does Thor have a hammer, like, outside the idol form?
In the stories, he is described as a man with a hammer. That's
But
the only
does
way I
he-
can answer
is
that
he
question.
by nature a man with a hammer?
No, maybe not.
So then you're
I wouldn't
so then
defend
what-
the position that he
just-
is. I'll put it
what-
that way.
Then what you just described is Yahweh, because
No.
now you've described a being who is so other than what nature, the natural
I think
forms.
that's describing gods, that gods are so other. But also the difference between polytheistic gods and Yahweh, the monotheistic God, is that Yahweh is supposed to be that which encompasses all, is all powerful, and so on. This is like I think this is just the difference between polytheism and monotheism. You have an all-powerful God versus a series of more limited powerful gods.
Ocean isn't that?
Well,
isn't all
the
powerful?
Bible is not technically.
Chaos is not all
the
powerful.
monotheism
Chaos is
in
not
the
even an
Old Testament.
intelligent being.
The all-encompassing thing.
I think this
It's not
was
all
supposed-
encompassing either.
Guys, sorry to divert maybe this section of the conversation, but this was mainly supposed to be a discussion between Ocean and Wyatt. I just wanted to
But
ask.
General's
yeah.
making better points.
I
General's more challenging.
know, and I hate to take that away from him right now, but I don't want to leave Wyatt out. I mean, he is staying up for us.
Yeah, I'm staying up, and I might not stay up for too much longer. But hey, how long do you want this to be for watchability purposes? That's the question I have.
I think that this hangout will probably carry on after both you and I sign off.
Yeah.
Somebody will probably
I
cut
just
this
want-
part of the hangout though. So
Say what,
just-
Frank?
somebody's probably going to. I'm willing to bet that somebody would make a video of the part that there's
Probably, because this is one of the few times that I've actually defended my faith.
And
And it's got my name in the label as well. So it's easy to find me defending my faith. So anywho.
Yeah,
It's a rarity that I do this.
We've opened it up to just like panel stuff, but
Right. No, that was an agreement that we made when we came in. That was just going to be more than you and I talking, especially with the number of Christians in the room, that
Yeah.
I would be challenged by more than just you. And that was fine. I thought that was a good thing.
I was challenged too. So
Sure.
okay, cool. So where was I? I got lost.
I mean, it's still, we're still at an impasse of why I should accept your holy book, why your holy book, why it's necessary for me to accept your holy book, because I don't see that it is.
Yeah, part of the debate, part of your opening statement, and you still haven't even given me a answer to this, is the polytheistic gods which you have mentioned serve as a better worldview for presuppositionalism.
Yes,
than,
because they're more honest than yours is.
Well, how do you know they're more honest? if you already acknowledge that they first disagree among each other, so they can't even give consistent revelation. Second,
We're talking about one God. We're talking about Odin versus Yahweh as a supplanter for.
Now, in your opening statement, you said polytheistic gods.
I think that polytheism would work better for presuppositionalism.
He's saying polytheism works better as a worldview, but Odin under polytheism is the source for all wisdom.
Right.
But
If there's a lack of
lying.
clarification in my opening statement, I wouldn't be surprised. Neither one of us prepared our opening statements.
But he may be lying when he says he is the source of all wisdom according to your own worldview.
Yeah, but wouldn't Yahweh also be open for criticism because he could be lying too?
Not consistent with the Christian scripture. No.
Well, I think Goshen's point was that wasn't consistent.
Internal to Wyatt's own view, it's not possible. According to Wyatt's own view, Yahweh cannot lie. According to Ocean's own view, Odin can.
Yeah, we're supposed to be doing.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Right. I see what you're saying. So, but the problem is that you have what I've been pointing out is that your God says things about himself that are contradictory, such as that he is all powerful and that he cannot lie.
Well, does all powerful? So, what constitutes all powerful?
I mean, if it depends on whether or not you think all powerful means able to do everything that humans can do. Like that's a good baseline. You should be able to do everything that a human can do plus extra if you're going to be all powerful. At least be able to do what humans can do.
Can humans violate the law of identity?
No.
Okay, God can't violate the law of identity.
Right. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
So Jesus said he is the way, the truth, and the life. 1 John 2:21 says that no lie is the truth. So in essence, God cannot lie because God would violate the law of identity when he said he is the truth.
That doesn't follow for me either. Because then he can't be all powerful.
Well, if God lies, then he'd be violating the law of identity.
Okay, so then he can't be all powerful, which means he's lied.
Wait, how you could lie without violating the law of identity?
If he says that he is the truth, and then therefore, I'm willing to accept his argument just for the sake of argument, that if he's going to say that he's the truth and then lies, that would be a violation of the law of identity. I think that you could probably wiggle your way out of that, but for the sake of argument and accepting it and doing an internal critique, he would then therefore no longer be all powerful and then would be a liar and then would go poof in a law of identity.
Yeah.
Does the ability of lying constitute all powerful?
If you have all abilities except what you don't, then that's not all powerful. That is just powerful. You are now entering that your God is a limited being.
If you can't by nature lie, then to lie is to violate the law of identity.
Then you are a supporter of a finite God.
I don't even understand. Why? Can you clear something up on the coherency of that? When I tell I've told lies in the past, but I don't think I did something that constituted a contradiction. I said something that was contrary to what is the case in reality, but a lie isn't in itself a contradiction. A lie says something which is contrary to what happened. So, to use an example, if I was to say something like, "This pipe has tobacco in it," I'd be lying. There is no tobacco in this. Now, I didn't violate the law of non-contradiction. I just said something that doesn't reflect the way reality is. I don't think I violated any of the rules of logic. I just said something which doesn't work with how reality is in itself.
Does all powerful mean doing something outside of logic? Can God?
How do you so you should define it at this point, and then you can move forward in your.
All powerful means doing the ability to do anything within reason, without breaking the laws of logic. So when Jesus says he is the truth, and God can, and Jesus is the second person of the Trinity, then when John's 1 John 2:21 says that no lie is the truth, then to lie for God would be breaking the law of identity, because he's established that he is the truth.
You probably should clear up what it means to say God is the truth. Like,
And John 14:6 says he is the way, the truth, and the life.
I mean, God isn't. When Jesus says that, he isn't saying he is. Jesus isn't saying he's light particles. He's not saying he's a literal path that people walk on. Why are you picking out truth as one of those things?
Well, also, I could clarify this with Colossians 2:2-3. In Christ are hidden all treasures of wisdom and knowledge. So basically, knowledge, how I define it for this conversation, is justified true belief. So basically, in Christ is hidden all the treasures of justified true belief. So if he were to lie, then basically he'd be violating the law, violating those two scriptures, and hence he cannot be God, because that would violate the law of identity.
Okay, so what you're saying is being all powerful means you're able to do everything except lie, in essence, because that's what I'm getting from it.
He's able to do everything except what he can't do.
Yeah.
He's able to do everything within reason. He can't violate the law of identity.
But
that's not violating the law of identity. I'll take it there. That it's not violating the law of identity. He would still be God in that situation. He just wouldn't be the God that he describes. And
Yeah, exactly.
if I tell you that I am a person that does such and such and such, and you find out that that's not true, I haven't violated the law of identity. I've just lied.
Well, you by nature are a finite person, and also you haven't described yourself.
What I'm saying is that God lying about being truth doesn't mean that he isn't God. It just means he isn't the God he described.
He ceases to be Yahweh.
No, he doesn't cease to be Yahweh. He's still Yahweh. He just isn't Yahweh as described in the book that we have. He is just the reality of Yahweh is different from the description of Yahweh. That's all that it is. That's fine. That's not violating the law of identity.
The description of Yahweh
Is God the Bible?
No, God's not.
No, that's right. So therefore, he is not if he is not the Bible, then being something different from the Bible isn't a problem. It doesn't violate the law of identity.
He is the way the Bible describes him as.
Can somebody let
he is the way the Bible describes him as.
Can somebody let Joe in the hangout?
I don't know.
Isn't it like full?
No,
he's in the hangout. Can someone present him?
I can't present him. I don't know how to do it.
Neither do I. I'm trying to. Oh, someone present. No. You're presenting Joe to the whole hangout. I mean, let him in.
Someone unhide him. Like, I have mods, but I can't unhide him.
How do you broadcast people?
Hold on a second. You know what? I'm just going to share controls with Joe, see if that works.
Would you guys stop presenting me? It's broadcast.
Wait, am I still doing that?
I don't like
the titans of Google Plus in this hangout.
We're okay.
There's a glitch going on with the mods. We can't. It's the unhide option is not available. I don't
Yeah,
know what's going
Ocean,
on.
I think it's because you haven't established a Google Plus profile with whatever account you're on.
I have.
What's
And
you-
I
Oh,
have
you
hidden and
have?
unhidden people with this profile several times.
That is weird then.
Yeah,
I blame Eddie.
who's Eddie?
Eddie is a fuck.
Oh, he left. Shit.
Anyway, enough of Google Plus being fucktarded. Just to keep up with this conversation.
Joe, what's your thoughts on the conversation so far? I'm interested.
What are you
in
guys
your
doing?
opinions.
Omnipotence?
I'm basically giving him problem of omnipotence. Yeah.
Okay, so the problem that always comes up, Wyatt, is it always comes up when you relativize the definition of omnipotence to whatever being you're trying to say is omnipotent, right? It started out, look, God could do everything. He's omnipotent. And then it's like, what about logically possible things, says Aquinas. And they're like, all right, Aquinas, you're right. Okay. And so they're like, God could do everything logically possible. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. It's logically possible for us to lie, right? But you were saying earlier, God can't lie. And so when you're trying to relativize the concept of omnipotence to the God of theism, to the agent in question, that's when you just run into a whole bunch of problems, because it's clear that it's logically possible to lie, but the God of theism is contended as not lying. So the relativization is God could do everything logically possible and within his nature. So he could do everything that's logically possible, but he can't lie, but that's within his nature. But then that's where it just becomes vacuous, because I can do everything that's logically possible, and that's within my nature, right? I'm a human being. I can do everything a human being does, and I can do everything that's logically possible. Right. So on that relativized definition of omnipotence, I'm omnipotent, your God's omnipotent, Ocean's God is omnipotent, everyone's omnipotent.
Everybody's omnipotent. Yep.
Exactly.
That you know,
because I can do everything except for that which I cannot do.
Yeah,
right.
Either you're
trivial.
saying God
if I can do something that yeah, right. So if I start flying, that would be a violation of my nature, and I would cease being who I am. Therefore, I'm omnipotent. Is that how that works?
You know,
well, no, it's against your nature to fly, so you're not gonna. But you can do everything that's within your
my
nature.
nature. I'm omnipotent.
And of course, you could do everything that's logically possible. Wyatt, does this make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
so
I'm gonna do.
You're gonna run into this problem every time you relativize the concept of omnipotence to the being you're trying to claim is omnipotent. So
when Jesus
one, if I can just offer another definition, maybe Wyatt can use. I should have done this earlier to be charitable. I'm sorry, this is a bit dickish just coming now, but a being is. This is coming from St. Augustine of Hippo. A being is omnipotent if and only if it can do all things logically possible, so long as those logically possible things do not diminish the power of God in other respects. So if one was to say, for example, God can't create a rock so heavy he himself could not lift. If such a rock was created, then God's power would be diminished because there would be at least one thing in existence he would no longer have power over. But when it comes to moral laws, for example, one could utilize a Kantian notion of morality, where morality is derived from reason. If God was to violate a moral law like do not lie, then God would be acting irrationally, and acting irrationally is a diminishment of one's power to reason.
Yeah,
so,
I don't
I see you circumventing the Euthyphro dilemma with that.
Yeah,
I don't see how it's not. When you say that diminishes him, it sounds like you're just articulating a different way of saying God does not lie. Because wouldn't just God lying be some form of diminishment? And that's why it's claimed that God does not lie.
Because it kills his perfection.
Right. So this is actually why I had kind of conjoined with a Kantian notion of ethics, which is what Ocean pointed out with Euthyphro. Under Kant's idea, morality was just something that was derived from thinking in a rationally consistent manner. If God was to lie, for example, then God would diminish his reason. He'd be acting in a sense that's inconsistent.
Would you say that the omnipotent being, you can still be an omnipotent being, but your omnipotence doesn't go so far as being the ontology or I guess moral code maker, being the grounding of morality, or
Well,
being just a person who makes the codes?
Yeah, under that idea, God would be the perfect being because he's also the most rational being. So in a sense, his omnibenevolence would come from his omniscience. So it would be derived in that manner.
But
God,
go ahead.
yeah, God doesn't get his goodness from some external source. He gets it because it's coextensive his omniscience.
But he gets it from his rationality, right?
Right. His rationality, though, isn't this distinct Platonic thing from it.
But I don't see. Well, see, the thing is, I don't see how that. How does the Kantian concept of morality? Well, Kant also thinks that lying is just bad, though, right?
Oh yeah, it's categorically wrong. It would be wrong in pretty much any instance. Like, let's say you were,
It's entailed that God doesn't lie, to say that God is perfectly good on the Kantian concept of morality, right?
right. If you're not a Kantian, like, let's say maybe you're more akin to consequentialism or virtue ethics, maybe, then there might be circumstances where lying is perfectly okay. In which case, it wouldn't diminish God's rationality to be able to lie. So, under this viewpoint, Wyatt would also have to back up something similar to a deontological ethic like Kant's.
No, I don't see why respondent couldn't just remind you that, look, that God isn't going to be as powerful as a God who can still lie.
Well, if there's a God who can still lie, then he's diminishing his own power by acting, by lying and breaking that moral code. He's diminishing his power of rationality, and that is a weakness to some extent. He would be like the God who creates for himself a rock so heavy he no longer can lift that rock. Whereas the God I worship is not only all-powerful, but that power is tempered through, being through his other powers, such as being able to be a person who can consistently reason.
Now, I think the cost of adopting the Kantian form of ethics, I think that's still just too high to say that it's just not going to be, to claim that lying is just irrational and therefore immoral, right? That's the
morally wrong
chain of thinking? Yeah, it's morally wrong.
Right.
That just seems like it's a price that's too high for the theist to make, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one who's
to pay,
pushing
sorry.
For the monotheist.
Maybe for the theist who's pushing for a divine command theory, one that's more centric on God's willing as opposed to God reasoning. But there are various theists who are willing to accept a version of God who knows these laws because he is a rationally consistent agent. And I think a God who is rationally consistent as opposed to one who's just chaotic and just wills things randomly, is an agent far more worth believing in.
I don't think those are the only two options, though, because remember earlier we were talking about omnipotence, and I asked, would the omnipotent being be one that is the moral lawmaker? And you gave we went down this path for you to demonstrate that he could be the moral lawmaker, but now you're kind of biting the bullet in that sense and saying, okay, he's not the moral lawmaker, but it's in virtue of his being rational that he's consistent with some independent standard of morality. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. And so when I was saying that earlier, I was getting at more, it's because he exists, goodness is instantiated as opposed to God willing it to come into existence. So, for example, if I didn't exist, then a fortiori my hair wouldn't exist, or for my glasses wouldn't or my eyes wouldn't exist. There is something about my existence as a person which instantiates which means that certain coextensive features of me also exist. So if I didn't exist, then list off any kind of essential feature about me. That thing also would not exist as well. Another way to consider it is, if the American law system didn't exist, then there would be no Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is contingent upon an American justice system, at least as it's understood under American law.
Could you connect it back
And we
to?
have officially like steamboated away from the subject.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Crap. Also, well, we have to fit this in
Joe's
as
fault.
much as possible before Steve gets back. So
Fucking Steve.
we'll talk about this later.
All right, so okay, Wyatt, is there anything in that particular conversation you might want to latch on to continue on this discussion?
I have an issue, but I think I should write it down, actually.
Oh, sorry, I said Wyatt.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I might have to go to bed here in a few minutes. I mean, I still gotta get up in the morning. But
What time is it where you live?
3:16.
Oh, and do you have school tomorrow?
No, I have church.
Oh, okay, yeah, get to bed.
But yeah, I actually wanted to hear. Tatiana's thoughts, but I guess she didn't want to say anything.
She says something in the external chat that
Yeah.
that I'm humanizing God, which I guess latches on to what Joe's response was, that if you're omnipotent except for that which you're limited to, it doesn't work. Yeah, that doesn't mean you're omnipotent at that point. You're just relegating the definition of omnipotence to that which you are talking about. Like, God is omnipotent because he says so, and therefore the definition of omnipotent has to be what God is.
Well, we're working in the you're doing a external critique of my worldview, and I was only doing an internal critique of yours.
I'm bombing it from an external critique, but you're not even. What do you mean you're doing an internal critique?
Yeah, I'm doing an internal critique.
So what is the internal critique?
The internal critique is you already said that your God is already able to lie.
Right.
And you already said you believe in polytheistic gods.
Mm-hmm.
So internally, that does not comport well with presuppositional apologetics, as I already established.
The only thing you need for presuppositional apologetics is to have something that is which the standard for which rhetoric can be discussed. So the God of wisdom would be the placeholder for that. It doesn't matter whether or not he can lie.
Well, it necessitates a God that cannot lie when he gives revelation.
Say what? Or when he gives revelation?
Yeah.
I mean, Odin could give revelation if he wanted to, but he is the God of wisdom.
You don't know if it's true or not. You don't know if it's true or not.
Same with yours.
But you're going at this from.
I'm still going at it from an internal critique when I criticize you, because I'm looking at the claims that your God makes and then using reason which you accept is something that would be fine within your worldview, and then it clashes against each other. I think that a lot of this has actually been an internal critique rather than an external critique, because we're talking about the claims that your God has made and whether or not they can comport with one another.
Well, the claims that my God has made is, number one, he's the God of knowledge. He's the God of justified true belief.
Is he the God of knowledge when he made a tree of knowledge and then was like, don't touch it?
No,
so the issue that we're really having is that your God, which is you claim to be omnipotent, does also puts limitations upon himself and is therefore a liar.
Well, he's not a liar. And like I
except
said,
when you're right. So he's not a liar except when he lies?
No, he's not. He's not a liar because he by nature cannot lie. He cannot violate his nature.
Yes, but if your view implies that your God is stating a falsehood, either he's doing so ignorantly, and so he's not omniscient, which is a contradiction in your view, or he's doing it knowingly, in which case he's lying, which is in your falsehood. So either you have to show that his argument that there's a contradiction in your view between is.
Yeah, you have to show that the contradiction is wrong.
Yeah.
In order to get out of it. So, like how is God not able to do something but able to do everything?
Well, omnipotent just means the ability to to do things within
logic. Yeah. Lying is among those things.
Yeah, is lying logically possible or not?
By us, yes.
By anybody.
You've thus relativized the logical possibility of lying. Like, so.
By us, yes.
So then omnipotence becomes doing all things except that which you cannot do, at which point I'm omnipotent.
Okay, what's the point about lying? What's the
it
point
doesn't
about
matter
lying?
anymore.
What's the point about lying if he predestines all things?
If you what?
If he predestines all things according to his will.
It doesn't matter whether or not there's a point to it. You're saying he can't do it.
What's the point in lying about his state of affairs?
It doesn't matter whether or not there's a point to do it. You're saying he can't do it.
When we lie, there's a point in us lying.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a point about it to lie. I have strawberries in my hand.
Like, God could create flying unicorns, but he chooses not to do it. Like that, we're not saying that it's not about the fact that he does do it, it's about the fact that it isn't possible to do. Like, I wouldn't deny that God could create flying unicorns, but I want to deny that it is even possible, an hypothesis for God to even lie. Like, just because, I mean, I don't understand why God would create a flying unicorn, especially in the way the world is now, but it doesn't mean he couldn't do it in
You can say that God doesn't lie, but you can't say that he can't lie. But when you say that he doesn't lie, then I'll have to point out that, well, actually that would get you out of the contradiction, wouldn't it? If you just said that he doesn't. But instead, you're trying to hold the position that he can't.
Well, he says he can't.
He says he can't, right. Wait, he says that he can't lie?
Yeah.
Oh, he's fucked.
Numbers 23:19 and Titus 1:9.
Let me look this up. This is amazing. You said Numbers
23:19.
I don't see how that would bar him from lying. I mean, he could have just lied about that.
Right. That's what the problem is that if he does that, we've caught him. God is not a human being that he should lie, or mortal that he should change his mind. Oh, wow.
That seems very. I mean, it's like, okay, he doesn't lie
so
like
Numbers
a human being or
23:19.
mortal.
What's the other one? What's the other one?
1:9.
Genesis.
Titus 1:9.
You said Genesis. Titus 1:9. Titus 1:9. Let's take a look
Freaking
at Titus.
Every time.
He must have a firm grasp on the world so that he is trustworthy in accordance with his teaching, so that he may be able to preach both sound doctrine and refute those who contradict. This is not talking about God. This is talking about a preacher. This is talking about a bishop. A bishop, for as God's steward, must be blameless and not be arrogant or quick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's talking about a bishop. It's not talking about God.
Okay.
No, I think Wyatt was referring to verse 2 in Titus 1.
Titus 1:2. See, I'm tired.
In the hope that eternal life, that God, who never lies, that doesn't say he can't lie. It says he doesn't. It's different.
I wasn't buying that he got it wrong, because this is like, I'm like, no, he knew what he did it just blatantly mess. I knew Wyatt had it right. I couldn't. I'm like, no, it's too easy of a mistake. He knows this Bible.
Yeah, I know my Bible, but I just get mixed up on verses sometimes.
In fact, Ocean, go to Hebrews 6, verses 17 to 18. I think this would be a very key. These two verses would be key to this entire discussion.
You said Hebrews 6 verses
Yep,
what? You said 17 to 18?
Yep.
In the same way, God has desired to show even more clearly to the heirs of his promise the unchangeable character of his purpose. He guaranteed it by oath, so that through two unchangeable things, and that which is impossible that God would prove false. We who would taken refuge in strongly. This is very awkwardly worded. Can you explain it?
Yeah. What translation are you reading from?
I'm reading from the NRSV. Which one
Well,
are you looking at?
If you can read from the ISV, I think it's a more clearer.
I don't have the.
So I'll read it out. So, in the same way, when God wanted to make the unchangeable character of His purpose perfectly clear to the heirs of His promise, He guaranteed it with an oath, so that by these two unchangeable things, in which it is impossible for God to prove false, we who have taken refuge in Him might be encouraged to seize the hope set before us. So he's talking about the heirs being Christians in the gospel and in that salvation context. And so, but the key words here would be unchangeable character of His purpose. Would you say that unchangeable in this sense would mean He's not all-powerful?
It depends on whether or not it's unchangeable by His will or by His nature.
So He's immutable. Is immutability, would that constitute omnipotence or a lack of omnipotence?
By what? Is immutability?
Yeah.
This is not saying that He's immutable by His nature. It's suggesting. It could suggest either way, that He's either immutable by nature or that He's immutable by will. If He's immutable by will, that just means that He doesn't change because He chooses not to. And if He cannot choose not to, then He is no longer omnipotent.
Yeah, are you bringing up the issue with the fact that there's no free will on Wyatt's? Because I mean, if he can't.
If you slam dunk that shit.
I think when you said immutable as far as His very nature Himself, I think.
Are humans also
because
immutable, I guess is what I'm asking. Because if you start throwing Calvinism into this mix, then we can.
Well, he brought up predestination earlier, and I'm like, well, look, if it's
no, but Wyatt did. Wyatt brought
I know,
so,
yeah.
So I know I'm supposed to be. Wait, so I know I'm supposed to be a moderator who's impartial, and this is probably going to come across as, I know, right? I was appointed, but I'm not. I'm being very libertarian.
He's been an incredibly helpful moderator to me.
Okay, all right.
Like he has been making half of my arguments. It's been wonderful. I love this moderator.
And then I know this might come across as being furthering that, but why right now it's probably 3:30 where you're at, and if your church services are anything like mine or growing up, then you should probably be in bed by now.
Lots of nudity.
That wasn't my church service growing up. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's mine. But
Ocean would call it skyclad, but that's another hangout.
That is another.
I spend
hangout.
every Sunday skyclad.
So Wyatt, are you going to go to bed?
Yeah, I might. It's like 3:30 my time, but I might.
You should stay up until you go to church, and then fall asleep in the pew.
No.
Yeah, Wyatt.
Good excuse. You stayed up all night.
Just say you defended the faith all night.
Yeah.
And then you can talk to the pastor about how this pagan almost turned you into a pagan.
No.
Look, Pastor, you're talking to a captive audience. I was standing there amongst all these heathens.
I'm just
Catholic. Go ahead.
There was a pagan. There were two pagans.
To be fair, I was also defending Wyatt a little and giving him a good basis for omnipotence. But I thought, at least in my mind.
I honestly think I'm being dead honest here. I love Ocean, but I can't see Ocean's refutation to be, I don't know, coherent.
Right.
Which part of the refutation? We've gone over like a lot of ground here.
About the
problem of omnipotence.
The whole lying. Therefore, if he can't lie, he's not omnipotent. And even outside in the outside chat, when you said, I'm adding a humanizing form to this God, which means that makes you more powerful. Or I don't know. You in the outside chat.
I'm more powerful than God because I can lie.
Unless you count power.
What did you say, repeat. Like
I
I'm
said
not in the
I am
outside
more
chat.
powerful than God because I can lie.
No. You in the outside chat, you said something about humanizing him. What was it you said?
I'm giving him an ability by humanizing him. Let's see. Hold on a second.
Right. You're giving him an ability by humanizing him, but then that's precisely the context of the incarnation, where the kenosis of Christ, as seen in Philippians 2, by default, God has to literally limit himself in order for a humanizing form to even be connected to him.
Wait, where is
So-
what I said in the outside chat?
So if you reverse it, then he's by definition all powerful. And
Sorry, hold on a second.
because he's not.
How are you
not-
saying that he's by definition all powerful?
Because he's not, to begin with, a human form
So,
or a form of the universe. Basically, he's beyond.
but the thing is that he gains abilities if you humanize him. Like if you make it so that he can break those limitations.
No, he limits himself down to a singularity point in space and
Wait.
time.
There's the wording there. Do you think that he limits himself, or do you think that he is limited? Because if you're saying he limits himself, then you're taking the position that he doesn't lie, which is not what Wyatt is defending. Wyatt is saying that he can't, which is a different set of parameters.
There's no limit in this sense would be emptiness. So he empties himself down to our level. So he has to funnel himself down to our level.
Isn't this an issue with the
What?
ontological argument, Max? Why is emptiness some sort of limit?
So he's
What do you mean by
notice
empty?
he can still be consistently moral in the sense of he doesn't lie.
Are you talking about when he
While
becomes? Are
Well,
talking,
you know what? Maybe I'm adding too much. Continue with what you guys were saying.
I think that he's talking about when he becomes Jesus,
Okay.
because there was a point when God was human, like he was
That's
100%
right, he mentioned-
human as well as 100% God.
No, you're right. I remember he mentioned Jesus. Yeah.
Right, but that would mean Frank brought up in the exterior chat that if he became 100% human, that would mean that he would have the ability to lie. Otherwise, he didn't become 100% human.
Yeah, but you could always argue that the fall damages human nature, and so humans by nature don't lie. Or you could say that God does, in a sense, have the
I don't know.
ability-
I just gave them knowledge. That's
No,
what
no.
I was described as just
Jesus
giving them
isn't-
knowledge.
I don't think anyone contends that Jesus was affected by the fall.
Yeah, that's the point. So the question is,
Right.
what
according
is
to
nature?
according
Is human nature pre-fall or is it post-fall? Is
But
there?
no, the fall didn't. Okay, the fall didn't change the nature of humanity. It just gave them knowledge. So God is omnipotent. Is omnipotent?
That's Wyatt's contention, or
Well, no. What I'm saying, this is my contention, was saying that if he becomes human, he still can't lie because he's God. The only thing, because he's not affected by the fall, the only thing the fall did was give humanity knowledge of good and evil. I would assume that God becoming human would have knowledge of good and evil. So he's everything that humanity was in addition as well. So he's still omnipotent, or omniscient. There it is. He's still he would then have that knowledge. So the fall, if he ate of the fruit, wouldn't affect him.
Okay. How
Unless he
about-
just
how about
disobeyed
this
himself.
way?
why
you
is
call
this
that-
equal needed again?
Hang on a second, Ocean. How about the fact that the reason for the incarnation is to bring the universe back to his level? So this language of theosis and deification. So
He'd still be able to lie if he was 100% human.
if the form that we have is somehow more powerful than God, why don't we incarnate into God and bring God to our level?
Do you think that God can lie?
He can't lie because he's beyond the thermodynamics of this universe. That's by default is governed by entropy, decay, corruption, finiteness.
How does
You're
lying
rendering-
figure into that?
Yeah, and I mean you're rendering God into properties or into just causal dispositions, which would negate the idea of God becoming Jesus, because how can those become like intentions and like mental cognitive faculties? How could God become such a being that would be able to, I think what you're saying, lie in the first place if he's just properties, he's just causal dispositions.
But in this case, lying is in the context of a disposition to go against the norm. And the norm in this case would be that ultimate good, which is God.
Wait,
So
you're
then-
lying. I don't. You're you're turning lying into into another type of causal disposition, another type of cause and effect concept. You're taking it out of the realm of like lying in terms of human agents.
If I said 2 + 2 is 5, is that lying?
No, but this is the thing. We're agents. Is there something meaningful to agents lying versus something not? What was the original concept of lying that you were trying to attribute to, like, different properties? Is there a difference between an agent lying to another agent or just lying to himself or whatever versus the concept of lying you were trying to float?
I wasn't trying to float any other. Lying is lying.
Okay.
2 + 2 is 5 is not correct.
There you go. So you can't. So the concept of like what about God being outside of? You said he's just outside of the space-time. I don't
He
understand.
transcends the 10 dimensions of this universe. Yeah.
Yeah, but what about that? What about God having these properties makes it the case that he's an agent who cannot lie?
Because we have motion and we have dynamics in a certain linear perspective. It's one direction. And in the process of that, because the creation is, in this case, limited in various ways, and this being is boundless, at any given moment, because of the thermodynamics and decay of this environment we're in, lying is just a natural subset of this thing that we live in. In this sense, that we know that 2 + 2 = 4, for example. To then go against the norm to say 2 + 2 is 5 for certain vindictive means. In this case, what the Christian gospel would say, for your own selfish lusts and desires, all that. That is not good. It never is good. It's always under the category of lie. So therefore, this being that's outside, how could he succumb to a anti-himself, an anti-God type nature, but at the same time be transcendent? It's just impossible.
Well, there's two things though. There's two things though. The thing is, if he's outside of all the things that are, relegating how lying works, then why is it relevant? Like
because
how
we
lying
are
works?
because
he's not.
Him. It's not. No. We're not. We directly derive from him. That's the whole creation ex nihilo.
No, I'm asking about him. I don't understand. Like I'm still not understanding how him being outside of space-time, outside of his creation, makes it so he's an agent who is like a logically consistent concept of an agent, but cannot lie. Why would it be the case that is more powerful than an agent who's logically consistent with the concept of like what we understand to be an agent who can lie? It seems to me that God, that agent can lie for theological aims. Like people lie, like nuns lying to the Nazis that they're not hiding Jews. People lie for like virtuous goals all the time. Why? It doesn't seem to me to make sense to deny that of a being that you're saying is omnipotent, but you're also trying to claim is like, omnibenevolent, has these other properties.
I don't see how your.
Oh, that's actually a good question.
I don't know what to call it.
Lie to the Nazis.
What you're saying doesn't really follow.
Does it what?
I mean, okay. Let me put it this way. Before sentience comes into this universe, so would you say the Homo sapiens would be maybe the first sentient species?
For the sake of argument, sure, yeah.
What?
Like, I'm fine with your point. Go ahead.
Okay, let's just say Homo sapiens are the first sentient species. So before that, like say, even before the planet came into existence 4.5 billion years ago. So the first 9 billion years, we have just this universe operating under mathematics. But there's no sentient life to even analyze this. So hypothetically, there's this God transcending it. So we have God. Technically, we have also the divine council, the other gods. But let's just, for the sake of argument, just keep it God and the universe. Is there any line or truth being acted within this universe simultaneously with this God existing? Yes or no? If there's no sentient life.
You're saying God isn't sentient.
No. You're not. This universe has no life for the first 9 billion years. Is there any? Is this universe for the first 9 billion years has no sentient life?
Okay.
I'm arguing sentient life starts with Homo sapiens. So say that, except for 150,000 years ago, there's no sentient life, meaning the way our brains work, there's no life that has volition and thinking and all that. Now, is there any lying or corruption of knowledge, or the flip side would be, in this case, truth? Is there any one of these things happening in that period of time before you and I exist?
No.
Okay. Would you say
in the universe, right? In space-time, no.
Okay, but would you say there is intrinsic of the universe only truth?
I'm not. What do you mean by only truth, though?
Truth in the sense of, if an asteroid were to collide with a certain asteroid, the maths would give a precise angle of attack deflection, and it'll always be that angle of attack deflection. It won't suddenly contradict itself. Like, the universe will operate under these given
it's
laws.
Just causal dispositions. I think I understand. Like lightning striking a barn versus striking a tree. The lightning doesn't lie and say it's going to strike the tree. It just strikes the barn. These are just causal dispositions. There's no lying. It's not until we have agents, till we have sentience, that lying becomes a thing.
Exactly. Right.
But so you're just saying that God isn't that kind of agent?
No, I'm saying he's the Christian God is sentient, but he doesn't self-corrupt. We self-corrupt. That's the difference.
I don't see how. I mean, I think we're kind of just back at the same issue again, right?
Are you guys discussing
what I'm saying is, if before you and I exist, and the universe only operates on truth, and then in this case the universe is derived from God, well, if God is only truth, and then the universe is only truth, and yet you and I are the first of a kind to go against that, so we self-corrupt. We're the first ones to do it.
Well, sorry to butt in, but what does this have to do with God lying or not?
It's all to do with omnipotence, ultimately, because that's what Ocean was arguing for.
Okay.
Against, I should say.
Yeah, I think I just prefer taking my own tactic of defining omnipotence in the way I did, and just claiming that lying and other moral faults are really just God. What's the word? Are really just God limiting and diminishing his own power of reason.
That's
the definition of
I'm not a philosopher, so I don't use philosophical, lingo. I'm a physicist, so I'm thinking in totally different ways here, and I apologize if I'm not getting, if I'm not using the right terms or.
You're fine. The concept of sentience that you're talking about would be like the concept of agent that I think I'm talking about. So I think that we can. I mean, I'm an anthropologist. I'm not a philosopher either. Like the only hoity-toity philosopher in this room is frickin' Max over here. But anyways,
Only because of the pipe.
okay, you're golden. Don't worry about it.
Oh wait, I think you broke up just then. You said
Oh.
something about the concept of sentience.
When you were talking about sentience, I took that to be my concept of how an agent acts. An agent is something that has a mind, has mentality, intentions, and stuff, right?
Right.
I think that you took the concept of sentience to mean the be when we had the ability to lie, and so my concept of an agent is also when the ability of lying is, I guess, that's when it happens. So whatever you were saying, I think it was fine. You're not. Go ahead with what. I think Max was actually saying something.
Can I ask a question on that? Like just quickly, about lying in itself. So when you lie, so you have the ability to lie.
Yeah.
But why is it so natural for you to lie?
I think it would be because, I mean, why is it natural for me to lie? I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like I think it is. I think it is one of the things to say that you have intentionality is that you have the ability to fail in some sense, right? Or you have the ability to to have your intentions not track your actions. So like you can look at it in the concept of failure, or you can just look at it in what I'm saying. It's the ability to see how your intentions are not mapping onto any I guess any maybe even attributes that you have, but just any actions that you perform. So you're intending to like tell the truth to someone, but you can just fail at doing that. But you can also fail at telling the truth in order to meet some other goal, right? And I don't see how that would be denied an omnipotent being.
Okay. Have you seen the movie Contact? I hope this is an interesting analogy. The one with.
Damn it! This movie keeps coming up in conversation. I need to see this thing.
Wait, what does?
Contact.
Contact.
What? For
No,
real?
but go ahead. It's
Oh,
a
you haven't
thing.
seen it?
No, I haven't.
I haven't seen it either.
Okay, in Contact, when they finally decipher the message, they then start to see hidden, like alien language embedded in the signal, and they can't get the primer or the primer, depending on how you say that word. In the sense of, well, in the movie, they then discover, okay, there's certain symbols that go this plus this equals this, and then it lines up to say error, or this plus this equals this, and then it lines up to say true. So then you have a way of where you have a true and a false to then know what is truly true in deciphering their language. So now notice the ability then to differentiate this is true, this is false. So this is a form of sentience. It can only be sentience, otherwise you wouldn't be able to even dialogue in that sense. But then to fail, to never always just be true, that is what I'm getting at. Why do we have this inability to always, inability in being perfectly true all the time?
Well, like I said, I think that's just fundamental to being an agent with intentions. The idea of failure is integral to the idea of being able to identify something with intentionality. Otherwise, you can't differentiate between something with intentions, and something with just causal dispositions, like the lightning bolt striking a tree.
Why couldn't you have the ability to tell that without actually having the ability to do it?
The ability to what?
To tell whether or not someone is lying versus having the ability to actually lie. Why do you need to be able to tell whether or not somebody's lying to actually lie?
But you
I mean,
also,
why do you need to?
Who's that question directed towards?
To you, like you said that part of being an intentional agent is being able to lie, right?
Well, no, it's being able to fail.
Oh, being
And
able to fail.
so
Yeah,
he
okay,
was
so-
asking, why is it so natural for us to lie? One of the ways you can fail.
Or just to reverse it, we literally have the inability to be completely perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we have the ability to fail. I think that's just something that's fundamental to being an agent with intentions.
Yeah, but then wouldn't that be fundamental to the natural law of decay and entropy in this universe?
No, because those are just causal
byproduct of that.
dispositions. That's just like properties, and those don't have the ability to fail. When entropy moves from one level to another in the in the universe across space-time, it's not failing to stay at one consistent level. It's moving. It's causal dispositions, moving from one level to the other.
But
Right?
it is moving to high entropy, though.
Yeah, but would you say it's failing to stay at a low entry?
No, I think he's asking you whether or not the reason it fails is due to the law, not whether or not the law is failing.
I mean, I'm asking him if he would just say that it's failing, though.
So thermodynamics as a math system is perfectly true. It's true
So
that
you wouldn't say that it's failing because
No,
it's
but-
causal dispositions. But when you're describing the actions of an agent, you can have their actions fail to map with their intentions.
wait,
And so
because
that's
of an
why I
increase in
think,
entropy.
and that's why I
So for
think,
example,
and
I'll give you-
that's
I'll
why
give you
I
an
think
example.
failure is integral to being an agent.
No. I'll give you an example in the Air Force.
What's wrong with
So
what I
I'm-
said, though? What's wrong with
could
what I said?
could I possibly give an objection to that, because that's a problem you guys brought up for me, and
Yeah.
I've been giving it some reflection. Would you mind, General, if I perhaps provide an answer?
Can I quickly say this and then?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. When pilots start to black out or red out, depending on which way you're turning the aircraft, the increase in error is exponential because of there's thermodynamic properties that take place when there's a certain lack of oxygen or too much blood going to your head. And therefore, the physics is perfectly true, but notice there's corruption taking place. So we'll never ever, like in a high G turn or negative G turn, you will never be perfect. You have the inability to be perfect at any given moment.
So you think it's a normative, there's some sort of like normative statement to saying that something is decaying. Like you can have carbon decaying into nitrogen, right? You're saying that that's like a normative form of decay, like it's being
What do you mean
corrected
by
in the sense that, well, normative. I'm always bad at defining normative. Max, could you define it?
You ought to do something.
Well, in morality, that's what it means. That's how it ought. This is a norm.
How it usually is.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that's to
Normal.
be expected, normal. It tends to happen, or you should do it.
Okay.
Right.
Like
These are-
should like carbon, should it stay carbon, or is it going, or is it like failing?
Yeah.
Like,
No. I'm
failing
not
in
saying
a
it's. I'm
normative
not saying it's.
sense by
yeah.
becoming
According
nitrogen.
to the laws of physics, certain things just never happen. So entropy never
Oh.
the net entropy never increases inside of the system. Ever.
Okay.
What's
this would
that
be
have to do with what I said?
So Joe, you bring up an interesting point. Again, let's, for the sake of argument, include the theistic context here. So God in the Bible says that the laws of nature cannot ever cease or contradict itself at any given moment. It has to be consistent. So, for example, in decay rates of certain elements, again, if carbon becomes, I don't know, iron or something, that is just a complete contradiction as far as quantum tunneling and all the physics associated with the decay rate of that isotope. So notice then that God, in this case, is being consistent with the laws of nature because he is by definition truth. So the laws of nature will operate consistently in that context, whereas you and I will never be able to do that.
Yeah.
So therefore, so God therefore is always perfect, omnipotent. That there is no limit to God.
Well, the issue that I brought up is that then I don't see how you could ever claim that God is an agent. God has intentions, because I take those to entail the concept of failure.
God, I'm so frustrated with this.
Okay, if you guys want to move on, it's fine.
No. I
want Max to say what he's wanting to say.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, considering the objection. So, from what I've understood it, the objection is when we intend to do something, it's usually because we lack knowledge of something, or it's because. So, for example, if I intend to go upstairs and grab myself a grilled cheese sandwich, it's because I currently think that there is a grilled cheese. It's because I lack a grilled cheese sandwich. I'd like to go upstairs and get it. That's my intent. Now I could fail at doing such a thing. In fact, I could go upstairs and there might not be one. There's usually kind of a want or an imperfection behind that one. And not that type of intent. Joe, can you probably restate the argument, because it's nearly 7 a.m. in the morning where I am.
Anywhere that he goes, what happens is he's still limiting God and then claiming that God is limitless.
That's not it.
That's been the point of the conversation, and that's been the point that General's been trying to make. It's
no, but the
Max,
hypostatic union doesn't limit God. That's the point. Like you have fully
but
God,
he still can't lie, right?
Could Joe just clarify the argument for me?
See, my issue is that and this is the problem that you're familiar with, that
Right.
if you are just saying that this is God, if you want to say that God is an agent, he has intentions,
Right.
then you have to try and square that with the concepts that are being put forward by Han, that God has these, I guess he can't fail, right? So like the main thing we've been talking about is he can't lie. But when you're trying to identify the actions of an agent, you're trying to identify like something that has intentionality. You're looking, one of the ways you identify that is your intentions can fail to track with your actions. So like, say I intend to hit a bullseye and I throw a dart at the dartboard, and instead I hit Ocean in the face. Now I intended that dart to hit the bullseye, but my action, it failed. So my action failed to track with my intention. But if God can't fail, like for example, God can't lie, that kind of thing, then how can you differentiate the actions of God from just any type of causal disposition? How can you differentiate the actions of God from just entropy? Like when you see a lightning bolt strike a barn versus a lightning bolt striking like a tree. The lightning bolt isn't failing to strike the tree, and accidentally striking the barn. It's just static electricity in the sky, eventually lightning bolt, that kind of thing, and bam, you're hitting the barn. There's no failure there, and so you can't really. There's no way we can track any actions of a god with an intentional agent.
All right, so I guess my response to that objection would be, God. There's another way to track intentional agents, non-intentional agents, and intentional agents provide and give purposes to things, whereas unintentional agents don't. So, for example, throwing the dart at the dartboard and it possibly failing to hit ocean. Now, what differentiates you from maybe like an automatic dart throwing machine is the automatic dart throwing machine always hits its target. It's always directed straight up where it's aiming for. There is no causal chance of failure unless one of its prior mechanisms is broken. However, when it comes to human beings as opposed to any other kind of thing, we give things purposes and ends, whereas machines do not. What they end up doing is, what anything with some kind of causal disposition ends up doing is just a repeated cycle. There is no purpose in, for example, the rain just breaking down rocks. It's just a cycle. It's just a water cycle. Even machines themselves that create other machines, they're eventually going to stop at a line wherein there's an intentional agent, which is providing them with some kind of purpose, which is namely human beings. So that could be a possible way to differentiate the two.
Yeah, how do you link God into that though? Because I imagine failing to hit the dartboard and hitting ocean in the face with the dart would be consistent with the purpose of the God of theism, right?
Well, the purposes of the God of theism would involve you eventually hitting ocean in the face, or him allowing you to do that.
Or me just hitting the dartboard.
Wouldn't the very act of generating a purpose, if ex hypothesi, be intentionality? He's intending for this result, like he has in his mind an image of some future state.
Yeah,
but you're already assuming that he's right, that it's just
ex hypothesis. You can't talk about God not having intentionality if you want to say that the way we identify it is its goal. Like it's not even.
Yeah, but what does it mean to say that every single state of affairs was God's purpose then?
Right. So
it means that the world is exactly as God planned it to be.
Right.
It means the same thing as what would happen if every time you hit the dart and you intended to hit the dart, you succeeded.
How do you differentiate that from just the machine throwing the dart then?
By analogizing God's mind to your mind.
I
know I have a mind.
Assuming God has the mind that you're supposed to, the intentionality that you're supposed to try and show through its actions.
I mean, one could imagine some like a carpenter who always creates things specified to the purposes he designed it for without fail. It doesn't mean we just start imagining, maybe this carpenter doesn't really endow purposes to his construction.
But that carpenter has the ability to. But that carpenter has the ability to fail. Whereas, are you saying that God? I mean, what's the difference between that and God?
Let me play this argument.
Does God?
Let me finish. Yep.
Sorry.
Does God have the ability to fail to make something like the carpenter in that sense?
God, yeah, I'd have to say God would not have the ability to, but it's not about ontology in that, but this is kind of confusing ontology with epistemology. It's how do we know the carpenter has that ability to fail if we don't see them fail at providing things of purpose?
I mean, I think that would be the issue where, how do we know that they have, I guess that would just, there's two ways you could respond to that. The immediate way that I want to respond to, I actually don't think would be the correct way to go about it. Because I think you're going down a different route. But I would say, well, the issue is that, I mean, okay, how do we know that the carpenter would have the ability to fail at making this, right? I imagine that it's the way we establish that, the carpenter would have the ability to fail at that by looking at the way we establish what intentionality is versus establishing what would be like causal dispositions and stuff, right?
Right.
Like the way we've established lightning working in such a way is not the way we've established the actions of agents with intentionality, right? But I think there's something wrong with saying that.
This sounds like an inductive appeal.
Yeah.
So, right. I guess if there's an inductive appeal to this, the theist could say, well, the way in which we know God and his agency is not through any inductive appeal, but as more of an a priori claim. And a lot of
I
theists,
get what you're saying. Yeah. This is why. Oh, go ahead, man.
and this is why a lot of theists tend to argue with a priori arguments. I mean, there are exceptions. Richard Swinburne is one. He uses evidential claims and weighing probabilities. Yeah.
I don't think that, I mean, I don't like doing this because a lot of the other talkers already do it, but I don't think this is how Jack or Randion would respond to the thing you mentioned, to appeal to some sort of inductive survey of the actions of humans versus how lightning works.
Right.
But I can't think of the answer. I mean, this is why they're Jack and they're Randion.
Maybe they'd appeal to some kind of a priori claim about the nature of intentionality. Like,
I think, I mean, they would just appeal to the normative nature of, I think that would happen again. You would talk about the idea of normativity necessitating the possibility of failure. Right?
I see.
But I don't know how to connect that.
Frank, you want to jump in?
Yeah, like if you're saying that you identify intentionality by virtue of failure, well, goals themselves are intentional. When you have some future state that you want to actualize, how do you tell what the goal is in the first place to figure out the intentionality at all? I'm disagreeing with your criterion of identifying intentionality. I don't think it works, because you have to figure out what the goal is. But like, how do you do that?
Well, I gave examples. Maybe we could suss out from those examples. What's the goal of lightning when it strikes? Exactly.
Actually,
what's the goal of? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, on certain worldviews, like Thomas would say that, and Aristotelians also would say that even natural things have final ends and goals. Sometimes they fail and sometimes they don't. So the causal disposition. So let's see. In nature, there are places where lightning will strike if it's near. Other examples is water will freeze at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, there are some rare exceptions, but these tend to be general goals where the water aims for, in a sense, in a similar way to where a human aims for a dartboard. Now, it's just that. So if we look at final causality in that way, and everything having a certain goal, then the higher you go on the chain of being meaning finite agents, all the way to mere matter that's very chaotic in nature, all the way up to God, who is the perfect being. You get final causes hitting their targets in a 100% accurate rate. This is kind of the notion of the beatific vision. No one can fail to be perfectly good in the presence of God, or in the presence of the vision of God. Something akin to that. So I guess the criteria is reject everything, except that everything has a causal disposition, except everything acts through a purpose or a final end or a teleology, and then just say that whereas human beings internalize that with the mind, causal objects do not do that.
Isn't the idea of a goal just a normative concept? Isn't that where you would?
No, sometimes there are things with causal dispositions and countercausal dispositions. Like, for example, your heart has the causal disposition to pump blood, and if you ever get sick or it suffers any problems, there seems to be mechanisms in place that help your heart heal and go back to that goal. So,
there's certain.
go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, there are certain things by virtue of being a heart that your heart does. There are consequences which if something did it, it wouldn't be a heart, and there are consequences if something did it, it would be a heart. But that's being directed towards some future consequence. So, like, if my heart is beating, well, that's something that's characteristic of a heart. Things so my heart can either not be beating and be, or if my heart is pumping blood, right? That's characteristically heart-ish. Hearts have the potential to pump blood. That's a thing that they do. And since you're talking about what it does, you're talking about a function. You're talking about a future state of affairs towards which it is directed. Well, then you say it's towards which it is directed. That sort of sounds like a goal, right? And so we say that is a natural teleology or something like that.
I mean, all you've said is that if we describe it in such a way that it sounds like it has a goal, then it sounds like it has a goal.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the reason why we say it's a goal. The reason why an Aristotelian or something like that would say it's a goal, as far as I understand it, is because you're using this specific language of doing, this specific language of the relationship of present states to future states.
And this maps with our understanding of normativity.
Yes,
that we would.
Right, everything would have a final cause. So to state that, to differentiate between human beings and agents with causal dispositions, those causal dispositions themselves would have some form of purpose. So there is
Go ahead.
So there is no real distinction between human beings and the purposes or intentions of human beings and the inanimate objects themselves, other than human beings guide their intention and purposes through reason, whereas these other agents do not.
There's two things. Can you guys levy this into the lightning example? Because what does it mean for the lightning to have the goal to hit the barn?
Okay, so...
And the other thing is, I think... Well, go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's... So lightning has by virtue of being lightning, does certain things. One of those things that it does, again, you're hearing this, it does, right? So there's a function. One of the things that it does is that it's attracted to lightning, metal. So when it hits the metal thing, whatever the pole or whatever it was, it's following out a function of its nature. It's by virtue of being lightning and being attracted to it. It is a goal because how to put this? At one state of time, the lightning is not hitting the pole, and another state it is, and it's doing that by virtue of being lightning, if that makes sense. It is directed towards the pole by its nature. This is natural teleology, right? This is different from from rational teleology, which would be being directed towards an end because of a reason. So, does that make sense? It's
connect this with the normativity concept, though.
Well, it's normative because it's normal for lightning to be attracted to metal. By virtue of being lightning, it normally, when it strikes, because one of the things that lightning does is strikes, but it has different types of strikes. One of the types of strikes is metal strikes. It strikes metal, right? And in fact, part of being lightning is striking metal more often than not, which is different than, say, part of being a fist, which is striking a pole or something, right? I don't know. It's a terrible thing.
It would be against its nature to strike metal, right?
Yes. So it normally, right? It has this normative aspect. It normally strikes the metal pole. Or
would it be against the human nature? Would it be against my nature as a human being to strike ocean in the head with a dart instead of hitting the dartboard?
No, it wouldn't be against your nature.
Stop
That's
hitting me.
If anything, it would be. If anything, it would be contrary to your nature as a rational being. Mostly because because you understand yourself to some degree to be a social animal and creature, and doing that is contrary to your purpose or natural end as a human being. You have causal tendencies.
Would it be indicative of like a human agent if I accidentally hit Ocean right in the forehead with a dart that has like a 6-inch long like a dart part of it?
It's also electrified, Ocean.
God damn it! Fuck all of you.
I don't see how it would be against.
By the way, guys, I'm gonna head off. I appreciate the discussion, and let me just say this: it's interesting seeing philosophers discuss lightning strikes outside physics.
See ya. Nice talking.
Later.
No worries. Take care. And Ocean, put some balm on your forehead after they hit you.
I know, right?
I think there's at least 7 darts in his head right now.
In the face.
But does that make? Would it be against the? I mean, it seems to me like you're having.
It's against my nature to be hit with a fucking dart.
You're having the intentions, but they're failing to track the actions. But I don't see how you could say that it's somehow against like the intentional agent's nature for that to occur.
Max is technically saying
whereas it would be against the nature of lightning if we're saying that lightning has like I guess in like intentionality, right?
The problem with what Max is saying with the human nature thing is that he has a completely different view of human nature. He believes that we are not, as far as I understand Catholicism, it's not Max, but like Catholics. Their view is that
Christo-pagans, you mean?
Yes, whatever.
Oh, fuck off.
So it's within human nature where human is not defined in this idealistic sense. It is
talking
within
about intentional agents.
But by virtue of being an intentional agent, yeah. Well, that's not right either.
I've been kind of sloppy, like throwing
with our particular physical constitution and our particular desires and our particular all the things which motivate our intentional actions are conditioned on our desiring and then willing to throw the dart with explosives into Ocean's head.
I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
I want to talk with Max then because
yeah, definitely.
Max, what did you think of the discussion between me and Wyatt?
I don't think I think he was just sticking to the script and wasn't directly addressing your claims.
Yeah, that was a problem. Frank, what did you think?
It was nice, but it could have gone better because I'm amazing, so I could have done it better. Yeah.
You could have defended paganism better.
I could have internally critiqued Wyatt's view better.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Christianity has become very foreign to me.
Yeah, I'm sort of obsessed with Christianity, which is a problem.
Right.
I have
you atheists, city boys.
Yeah,
so what was go ahead and what are some points that you would have brought up? I saw that you were asking some good questions in the side chat, and I tried to incorporate some of them into my position, but there was also some ground that I wasn't really willing to let up on.
So I have a couple of theories as to what's wrong with presuppositionalism as a method. Like there's so much. It's so very. I don't know. Like it's challenged me in the past, and anything which challenges me, I believe deserves my respect. So I like presuppositionalism, but I think it's wrong as a method of anything. So
you've been challenged by it.
It's only a defense.
Before I was when I was dumb.
Sure.
And then I have been challenged by it since then because Jimmy Steffens, right? His way of putting it is much better.
Stevens, I think, but
is it Stevens?
Yeah,
it's Stevens.
Okay, Jimmy Stevens. I thought, wow.
I get frustrated with Jimmy Stevens because, like, I've called him out on. We get stuck in like a very specific area usually, and it has to do with a similar area that me and Wyatt get stuck on. But it has to do with why I need to accept his book, Like I think that's where a lot
Yeah.
of presuppositionalism gets stuck in the mud.
Yeah,
Why do I need to accept this premise?
The way I usually see presuppositionalism is it's strictly a defense. It's not meant to convince anyone. That's something you actually mentioned, and that's something I don't think you need to keep on hammering Ocean. I think even Wyatt understood it.
That about whether or not it can convince people?
Yeah, he doesn't care.
It's not meant to convince people. It's meant to convict people.
Right, I understand that. Like the reason why I was saying that it's not convincing and that he therefore shouldn't do it is that it is the Christian goal to convert.
No, it's not. Not according to his view.
Is he a Calvinist?
Yes,
Oh,
most priests,
God,
as far as I know.
damn it!
I'm pretty sure he's a Calvinist. I might be wrong.
If he's a Calvinist, then it doesn't matter whether
Most
or not.
presuppositionalists are Calvinists in my experience.
Right. Okay. So
the ones that aren't are usually the stupidest ones. I'm looking at you, Darwin's deity.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at you, Arcane Logos.
I've had a decent conversation, like with Didi, like after it was the first time I was with you. The first time I met you on Air Ocean, because you were actually saying that I shouldn't talk with Darwin the way I was talking with him, but afterwards he was really chill after our conversation, like for a little while, and then stuff happened.
Well, no, there was a direction that you were going that I didn't think was going to be effective, and I knew it wasn't going to be effective actually, because I've had the same conversation with Darwin several times. But I think it was after the end of that conversation, because that's the conversation, the hangout that ended with the when I first employed the Odin defense against presuppositionalism and trounced him. Like I kicked him around for a little while.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
No, I left early on because after our conversation, it got chill, right? And that's what I say. That was a nice conversation, like that period.
Right, it did. And then
I don't know what happened afterwards because I had to leave. So
what happened was Alvin was like, "Hey, so wait a minute. If Ocean believes that Odin is the god of wisdom, and then you can't have any rational discussion without Odin existing, what is the fallout from the conversation?" And it's like, well, all it is there's not really much of a difference. And that's why Darwin's loses this conversation. And then he got pissy with me, and then we had a fight.
Yeah, that's I understand why he would get upset, because it might seem that like you're just sort of taking it on for the sake of it, right? Like, it's my opinion that one should be wary of using arguments that they have not themselves spent some time thinking about, because I
did spend some time thinking about that. Right? This is a conversation I've had before with several presuppositionalists. That Odin fills the perspective better. My argument tends to go along the lines of that Odin being the god of wisdom is then the foundation for all rational discussion, and you can't have rational discussion without a god of wisdom, and that function is fulfilled by Odin, who is the wisest of gods. Your god is a god who is not Odin, and therefore is not the wisest of gods. So it's not, your god is not a good god for this role.
They could respond that Christ is the wisdom of God, and that Christ is God, therefore their God literally is wisdom, and so trump you.
Christ is a liar.
Well, I mean, they would be speaking internal to their view. If you're trying
right, they can speak internal to their view, but that's not what presuppositionalists do when having discussions with other people. So I don't let them do it. You have to talk within the internal critique of my view, or I'm not interested in having the discussion. We're talking presuppositionalism here. Play my game, and so they have to prove that their god is wiser than Odin, which is impossible to do.
Yeah, I agree, but you have to show them that. So you were talking about how it's not convincing, and so he shouldn't do it. But convincing, well, I mean, I guess you said it was because you didn't notice that he was Calvinist. But the way I would say it is that
I think that you should be using
you
arguments.
You don't value persuasion, but you do value conviction. Let me tell you why your view should not convict me, and then they should abandon the method.
Well, yeah, and that's a different conversation. There's two conversations that we're kind of attempting to be had at the same time in here. One is that presuppositionalism is just a shitty way of defending the faith, and the other is that it's also completely ineffective because the pagan gods work better for it. And so there's having those two discussions at the same time is kind of counterintuitive, because I can't be as mean as is required for the paganism discussion.
I don't think you need to
because I'm
be.
attempting to convince. And no, but if I'm going to be doing Odin is better than the Christian god, I turn on the aggression factor, because that's how you win that conversation. Is you don't let them try and bring in their worldview, because if you try to get out of having Odin as the cornerstone of the conversation, they're abandoning rationality.
Oh, okay. So
it's gone.
What you say being mean? It's one thing to be mean. It's another thing to be like just staunch. Like it's one thing that I'm not going to move here, right?
There is no budging allowed, because I'm going to be applying the same strategy. You have now abandoned Odin, the wisest of gods. You are attempting now to supplant that with an idiot god by comparison. Why are you doing that? You're abandoning rationality in the conversation.
I'm like, you don't have to go that far, because then you might be like, yeah, like you're right, but like you don't have to go into it and then insult their view, because that could.
No, I'm not insulting their view. I'm insulting their god. Their god is.
Well, I know that, but like they're ideologues, so you know it's going to upset them. If you want to convince them in discourse, you have
going to convince them. That's part of my argument.
Yeah, I know, but like, wait, what?
The goal, it's not going to convince them, and that's part of my argument. It's showing through example. Saying that the pagan gods... Say what?
Why do you talk with presuppositionalists if you're not interested in persuading them out of using the method?
Because if they're not persuaded, that proves that it's not persuasive.
Yes, but one could just...
That's a dick way of doing it. But what I was saying...
Well, no, that just proves you're not persuaded.
No, it does. All right, you could definitely spin it that way.
I'm like, wait a minute.
No, yeah, I mean, just because you're not persuaded doesn't mean it's not persuasive. That would be anecdotal.
Right. Anyway, there's the reason. One reason why the preface of this is that it's hard to have both of these discussions at the same time, because I cannot be as aggressive as I should be. If I'm trying to show them that presuppositionalism is a bad method because it's what they should be doing, is a process that's more convincing, then I'm trying to appeal to them. I'm trying to bring them over to my side. If I'm going to be showing them, no, the pagan gods work better and this is why, then I'm going to be bringing in the aggression factor, because it's a better way of having the discussion, because it beats them.
I'll agree to disagree with you. I don't think aggression is ever really necessary in discourse, unless...
I think it is necessary.
So
it's one thing. Staunchness.
There's a few things that happen with it. One, they start to run away, which, that's part of the battle mentality in heathenry. It's like, oh, okay, well, they've run away from the conversation.
Fucking heathen.
And in addition to that, they can't. It causes them to think twice before they're able to respond to it, because they're trying to respond to the aggression at the same time as the argument, and it brings in an extra factor to the way that they're thinking. It causes them to flounder.
But why do you want them to flounder? Why?
Because then they start realizing they're losing.
What determines the win of a debate?
It's whether or not they can actually address any points.
Your mom can't address any points.
I don't think debate
not
has
very good debate,
losing conditions. It has either either I persist in my argument, or I cease in my argument, or I retain my. So I have a claim, and I have an argument for it, or multiple arguments. I either persist in my argument or forgo my argument, and I either persist in my claim or I there's a better word for it, but I'll say forgo my claim. Mm-hmm. And the goal, ideally, is to get them to forgo either their argument or their claim, so that so that then you can give positive arguments for them to take on your claim. There's no win or loss condition.
Christians don't forgo their claim.
But they do. I'm a perfect example of that. I was once Catholic, and I stopped being Catholic. So
not in an argument like this. So the Christians that are presuppositionalists aren't going to be the type
to do that. There's something you come back.
I don't believe that that's true. I refuse to believe that people cannot be persuaded.
Not by the end of the conversation, no.
Well,
that's not how presuppers work. Presuppers, honestly,
presuppers have a way of working.
If I'm going to be having a conversation with a presupper, I don't give a fuck whether or not they're going to be convinced of it.
I mean,
hammered.
yeah, okay, if you're gonna say that we're doing this for the sake of the audience, so long as it's not, if it's like so that they do not get deceived by this argument, okay, all well and good.
No, that's essentially what the bringing in paganism to do presuppositionalism better does. Is it shows that there's a dishonesty in
Okay, so
presuppositionalism.
in that case, I mean, like, I agree that presuppositionalism is potentially deceiving, and so that's a gray area for me. I don't know if that's because like you I don't know.
I've only I've been on Google Plus for about 4 or 5 years. I've seen Christians flip twice.
No time to explore those stories. Sorry, go ahead.
What do you mean? No
No,
time
just,
to explore.
that would just be the douchiest thing to do, not let you explain. When did they flip?
There's been, I think Tanya Galaxy is one of them, and then there was another one that also flipped
Oh yeah,
to
that's
atheism.
right. She was a Christian.
Yeah.
What do you think about Seamus?
Oh yeah, Seamus also flipped. That's right. I think that's the other one.
Oh, I fuck that guy. No, I'm serious. Not when he flipped. He tried to he was gaslighting the Holy Spackle, claiming it was her fault that he became an atheist.
That's really funny. And he never became an atheist. He became an agnostic. He's still a whiny little fuck. I mean, nothing about who he is changed.
Oh, he is. Oh man, yeah, that is so true. By the way, what's he doing now?
Oh.
No, I don't know. I don't care. Sailing around on a boat, I guess. At least he was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I'm
Frank,
glad.
Part of the aggression factor is also the opportunity to insult the Christian God, which is always just fun for me. I'll just be absolutely honest with you, because there's from the other side, what happens with Christians when they hear that I'm a polytheist is oftentimes, and atheists will do this too, to be honest with you, but they'll be like, that's a dead religion. Why nobody takes those gods seriously? And if you just word their God within the same paradigm, it's more absurd. So it kind of flips the script on that, and I get sick of that script. It's a honestly very annoying script for me. The atheists, I gotta play surgery a little bit more, because it's a little bit more complicated on that end. I think that what they're doing has more to do with being spiritually deficient rather than what Christians are doing.
You think I'm spiritually deficient?
Are you an atheist?
Well, I'm an atheist now, but I'm sort of I've been considering deism for the last like 2 weeks, but 2 months, but I haven't been able to. There's an argument which may or may not end up convincing me, but I've been neglecting it. So
what's the argument?
Sucks.
Oh, by the way, sorry, go ahead.
No, what's the argument, Frank? What are you thinking of?
It's called the argument from intelligibility. I can't remember the guy's name, but there's some heavy-looking guy. It was originally sort of thought of about by the previous pope, whose name escapes me.
PJP Deuce.
What?
Pope Benedict XVI.
Yeah, well, it was thought of him before he was the pope. So Ratzinger, I think, is his.
Yeah.
Okay. But like some other guy took it up, and then I found it on a website. I don't remember what the name of the website is, but like I sort of figured out the argument on my own, and then somebody else completely destroyed it, and then I found a better version of it, and I want to read through that and critique it and see if it's any good. And if I'm convinced by it, then I'm going to take on deism. But I've been neglecting it, so I haven't gotten the chance. So right now I'm like an atheist by default.
By default, I hate that fucking term too.
I'm defaulting to atheism.
You're an atheist because you're choosing to be an atheist, right?
By the way, Frank, I have to thank you. You gave me an idea that I used in one of my papers for an ethics class. I remember. I'm sorry.
The is just an idealized is.
Oh no, not that one. I remember when we were discussing how God creates a universe where He knows that people will burn in hell for eternity, and He allows it so He could bring about some greater good. And your response was, "No, there's no possible situation where that could happen. In fact, I would say that God would be better off not even creating the universe than allowing shit like that to go down. And I was like, huh, that's actually a pretty interesting take on it. And then thinking on it, I ran into this argument against Karl Popper's negative utilitarianism. Negative utilitarian, that view just claims that we should focus on causing the least amount of avoidable suffering for all people. And someone responded to that claim by saying, well, imagine there was a person who, with a weapon, can kill off all of humanity without any pain, thus eliminating all suffering entirely. Now, wouldn't that person be in the moral right for doing so? And I thought, you know what? I guess this would mean God couldn't really be a consequentialist by those standards, because if consequentialism is true on any regard, then any kind of being would have to eliminate suffering as one of the virtues of, as one of the rules of a consequentialist ethic. So I thought, this actually kind of shows the inconsistency between the two, and it was your point earlier on that triggered that conception.
Cool.
So thanks.
No problem.
Yeah.
Take any of my ideas you want, because I'm not in. The
He's
only
not
way I'm
using
going to influence the world is by these conversations, dude. I can't stand being in places like college. I'm socially deficient. I'm spiritually deficient too, apparently.
Yeah, that's or at least that's my contention. If you become a deist, maybe you're not. I don't know.
Yeah, like, what is spiritual deficiency? Like, just like.
Well, okay, so here's.
Did somebody mute you?
With atheists, what a lot of them are that I've noticed is that they're people that have gotten upset with Christianity and then they leave it. And the result of leaving it for them isn't just abandoning Christianity, it's abandoning spirituality in general in favor of what they consider to be rational thought. And that has a few consequences. You wind up ignoring in life emotional arguments, which I think emotional arguments are meaningful at times. And then you're also abandoning the exploration of that which people refer to as spirituality. And to me, that's throwing out the baby with the bathwater to a large extent. When I left Christianity, I was under the understanding of like, okay, so there is something to spirituality, because spirituality was important to me as a Christian. But Christianity, I came to the conclusion, didn't make any sense. But that doesn't mean that the positive experiences that came with Christianity, i.e. spiritual experiences, were meaningless. I thought, okay, well, there's something valuable here. Does that show up anywhere else? And thusly, I went into learning about other religions and figuring out if there was something that wasn't as kooky as Christianity, but I could still be, I could still have that spiritual exploration as well as be a grounded human being. And I've wound up in paganism as a result. Now, a lot of people that wind up in paganism don't have that result of being an especially grounded person. A lot of pagans have their head above the clouds along with their feet. But that's it's been a tool for me to explore spirituality and still have a certain amount of grounded aspect. Unlike Christianity is just insane to me.
I don't view myself as a grounded person, so. But do you want to know how I became atheist? It's sort of weird.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so I don't remember a lot of it because I just don't think about it a lot. But the gist is, I was going through a whole bunch of psychological stuff, right?
Sure.
And when I was around 16, I for whatever reason, I don't remember why, I think it was because I was having issues with rational issues. I couldn't justify believing in God, and it was causing me stress or whatever. I literally made a deal with God. I mean, I didn't give him a choice much, but at the time I thought I was it. But I've only come to think that I didn't give him a choice later. But
you made an ultimatum to God.
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't that bad. So I'm
if you
saying
have a deal and he doesn't assent to it, and you still go through with the
earlier
deal,
on, I
that's an
thought-
ultimatum.
The idea is, I said, I'm going to give you as much time to present yourself to me. Like I never had really any strong, clear, obvious spiritual experiences, or if I did, I've forgotten them. Wholly. So I said, like, I give you like 20. I said I give you 20 years to present yourself. During that time, I will not join any religion whatsoever. And that's effectively what happened. I slowly from there became agnostic and then atheist, and then I started watching atheist videos, and then I became a little monster for a little while, and then I realized that I didn't like being a little.
You're one of those rabid guys.
Yeah, I became the guy who.
It's weird. Like people that leave Christianity, even if they aren't hurt by it, for some reason they just start hating on Christianity very seriously.
Those guys are dicks.
I think Chesterton actually talks about it. Like they're not.
No, I mean, I hate on Christianity a lot, but it's not something. I don't have any like personal issue with it anymore.
No, I mean, we're all just more familiar with Christianity.
I guess that's a good way of putting it.
And there's also, you run into more Christians than anything else as well, and Christians tend to be more aggressively hateful.
But by the way, I found something funny on my memories that I think you guys will love. Before marriage, and many young girls are called angels by the young men who are in love with them. After marriage, they're called angels too because they're always harping on something.
So
that's a quote by Archbishop Fulton Sheen. I thought you guys would enjoy.
Fulton Sheen, I like Fulton Sheen.
Your non sequitur brought to you by Max.
Sorry.
Fulton Sheen had a lot of great jokes. Like, have you ever watched any of his videos? He always starts off with like 5 or 6 jokes, and they're always good. Like,
they are. I've repeated them to some of my students.
Fulton Sheen's cool. But what was I saying?
You're talking about how you just started beating up Christians.
No, I did. That's not what happened at all. I said I
feel nice and bumping them on the head, so to speak.
Beating up Christians. I just became, because this is the way I see it. And again, I'm not remembering this stuff perfectly, so I might be misrepresenting my younger self. Because again, I don't think about this stuff.
Right.
But I could not justify not being a dick, and so I had to be a dick. I could, and
that doesn't make sense logically.
I know it doesn't make sense. But that's what it was from my perspective. I think I had to be mean to people because there was no I don't remember why. But afterwards I realized I didn't like doing that, I guess, and so I stopped and
I mean
became more open-minded, and then that's
why I obey the code of honor. That just this is the kind of thing that atheists do that frustrate me, is that they'll like try and build this little logic pile and then use it to justify actions that are not really part of that conversation. Sam Harris does this with the.
Well, I stopped doing it, so.
Well, yeah, I know, but there's other atheists that try to argue this way.
Oh man,
and then it gives Christians a point when they say, you need God in order to behave nicely and shit.
Not like
I'm a moral anti-realist, but I still, there's still codes of behavior among the gods, and there's lessons that have been given to us from them. So even though I might not believe in morality, I still think that there's not necessarily oughts, but attractive structures of behavior that really are more interesting, make life better.
On the pragmatic theory of truth, there are some views of moral anti-realism that could actually shift and become moral realism. One of the ones I was considering was social contractarianism. It's the viewpoint that morality is kind of like economics. In terms of human beings, we have internal desires and wants and needs, and we figure out, and by making deals with one another, we find ways to maximize them better than if we were all just, in a state of nature where it was just pure chaos. And we commit ourselves to, let's say, one particular strand of it, and we consider that one to be the best way of maximizing it. So we'd have, a practical methodology that tells us something about the world, and it's internally coherent. And for most pragmatic theories of truth, that would suffice to say that moral propositions are true propositions, because we could attribute the a truth value to them that is true and not just false. Just like any other claim, like in economics or similar to that. Just
Max, can you explain sensibility theory?
no.
Just now. Dang.
Joe.
Has Ocean commented on the picture I've been drawing?
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's really funny. Needs more beard.
Yeah? Okay. Hold on.
This needs to be a little bit longer.
I think I have the best beard of them all. Look at that. Just so great.
God damn it.
Look at that luscious beard. It just flows the air in the wind. It's just like
I'm not fucking Gandalf. Shit. I can show Mike in broadcast. I don't know why I couldn't show other people.
The best I can do is just show what I used to look like with a beard. I have one where I have a beard and a turban on.
Hold on a second. I'll turn on my webcam. Because you weren't like entirely off. It just needed to be a little bit longer.
Oh, wait,
I just know what my beard looks like.
Hold on. I have
I
to
don't
look
know
up.
if it's long enough right there.
You might have to present yourself, Ocean, because I can't see on the.
There I am.
Yeah, I'm looking at like through YouTube right now, so I'll have to wait a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, stop looking at it through YouTube.
How about I do what I want and I make your beard look like a penis instead?
So, Mike, you're here. What do you think of the conversation?
Interesting.
There are a few conversations as interesting than conversations about beards.
And here is me where I am bearded.
Man, you
know
look
which-
like you're about to blow up.
Which part were you referring to? What?
I am one Sikh mofo.
You're just gonna explode with rage.
That's so bad. I think things are funny too easily.
Max, that outfit is the bomb.
Thank you.
It's bombastic.
Mike, you seemed to want to get in a little while ago, and now you're in. You're not saying shit.
Well, the topic is passed. So
What was the topic?
I was. Well, no, I can't remember what was being said that I wanted to add to. So it had to do with you saying something about atheists. Now I can't remember what it was.
I was saying that atheists are spiritually deficient a while ago.
I just remembered the conclusion was go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Fuck off, you fuck.
Here's a general question: what is spirituality? Like, what is meant by that term?
Yeah, the definition means something different to different people.
Yeah, it does mean different to a lot of people.
It's kind
I'm
of
gonna head off to bed, guys. Have yourself a nice discussion.
Get the
Later.
fuck out of here.
Later.
Au revoir.
That's a lot of blood on my face.
There's blood on your face? Oh, you mean that?
In the dart picture.
I don't like how I want it to look more like flowy.
We should talk about the Loki objection to your view.
The Loki objection was interesting. I just countered it by saying I trust that it's not a lie.
You trust that it's not a lie.
Yeah, that's it.
So you trust the authors of the books. Why do you trust them? Is there a reason for it, or is it just a choice?
It's a choice.
Okay.
I mean, I can't really respond with much else but that, other than it feels right and it matches my experience.
Yeah. You said
they're not good reasons. Like I wouldn't. There's not something I would be able to defend in a court or empirically or anything like that.
Well, like you said earlier that you had personal experiences, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good reason for you to believe. Like it's just not a good reason to persuade anybody.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Now I remember what I was going to say. Do you guys differentiate between Christianity, just general Christianity, and fundamentalist Christianity?
I don't care.
I don't know. People mean different things by fundamentalism.
If you're talking about like extremists that are more aggressive, I still don't care. A Christian is a Christian is a Christian. I
think there's a difference. So,
I mean, there's definitely differences, but it's not a difference I think is meaningful.
Oh, well, I think it's meaningful. I think that there are ranges of honesty between Christians and fundamentalist Christians.
I don't know if they're. I mean, like
I think that some fundamentalist Christians are honest; they're just aggressive.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And there's some people who are dishonest, just not aggressive at all. that what's it called? They're Christians, but they're not like serious Christians.
Are you talking about Lutherans?
I don't know anything about
I'm kidding.
But like the Christians actually have a term for them.
Max would have laughed.
Yeah.
Cafeteria Christians, right? Or cafeteria anybody, like people who take the name of their view, but are neither seriously understanding their own view nor attempting to seriously understand their view, right?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Those types of people, I consider
those are the ones. I think those are more offensive.
Like a kind of soft dishonesty, but like they could be calling themselves Catholic and be in complete contradiction.
People that are Christians for the sake of social, like they don't think about it.
Yeah, basically.
I think that those are more offensive than the ones that are in your face. At least the ones that are in your face will tell you what they think. And the ones that are more cafeteria Christians that just don't think about it, I think that they're dishonest with themselves.
I think they just don't care. So it's like, yeah, I guess dishonest with themselves is a way of saying it, but it's
right. But that, I mean, half a dozen in one hand.
I don't know the right way to describe them, so that might be a good way. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't know.
No, I understand what you're saying.
So,
I'm talking about science denialists, Christians that bash on other people, different religions, different beliefs. I find it.
Atheists bash at people of different religions.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
it's one of my major problems.
They're extremists in every group.
Yeah, but I think I've run into more atheists with that problem than Christians.
With the bashing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would say that too. I think that a lot of the behavior from fundamentalist Christians is reactionary to how they're being treated by atheists. And I'm guilty of it.
I think a lot of atheist behavior is reactionary to how they're being treated by Christians. They're feeding each other.
Yeah, they're feeding each other.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting both of them. Occasionally. I'm on Google Hangouts, it's not so much, but occasionally in real life, somebody will find out I'm a pagan. And oddly enough, I've run into more aggressive Christians in real life and more aggressive atheists in real life than I do on the internet on a general basis.
You must live in a place with lots of atheists and lots of Christians.
I live in the South.
There you go.
Yeah. There's a lot of opinions on religion down here.
I live in New
And
Jersey.
I live in a liberal city in the South. Too. I live in Atlanta, and northern Atlanta at that. So there's a lot of both. And there's actually, I live in a city that's has more pagans than most of the rest of the South. Because I'm in a specific part of Atlanta that has a lot of pagans. There's a parade here as well. I don't take part in it, but it's there.
It's weird to me, Atlanta having pagans. I don't. It doesn't seem. Did you explain this to me once before?
It's odd. I don't know. It's also the area of Atlanta that I'm in is filled with pagans and lesbians, and it's not really explained why those two decided this particular part of Atlanta to reside in. But in a 5-mile radius, there's more pagans and lesbians here than any other part of Atlanta.
Is there any other part of Atlanta or the planet?
Part of Atlanta, not the planet. I'm sorry. I muttered when I said Atlanta. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Some more pagans in Atlanta than the whole entire planet.
No, I think that the highest population of pagans is actually Iceland.
That makes sense.
So there's ocean.
Either that, or depending on how you define paganism, certain parts of Africa might be higher populations of pagans because there's African spirituality is sometimes considered a pagan religion. You took the blood off of me, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot the blood.
Oh, that's what you were talking about in the picture. Blood in the picture.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Frank? I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to say.
What? Fuck off. You were going to say something.
No.
I'm going to take a screenshot of this.
It's a beautiful picture, Joe. You're an artist for a century.
Thank you.
That's some Da Vinci shit right there.
Yeah, it is.
There you go, right down the. There you go.
Thinking of having it mixed with a single tear.
Yeah, head wounds bleed a lot. Don't forget that.
You just can have the squirting all over the places.
It's true. Yeah, I had something fall. I used to work at a movie theater, and when you change the movie times, you get this big long pole, and you lift it high up in the air, and you suction cup all these tiles off that have the different letters, and one of them late at night fell and hit me in the top of the head, and it looked like I just walked out of a IED explosion. I had blood just going all over my face because of the blood vessels, right?
Aren't bloods always in blood vessels? Where wouldn't they be?
No, there's a lot of blood vessels on the top of your head.
I'm just being a dick.
I was waiting for
your mom.
I was waiting for back me up, Mike.
I'm sorry, what? I heard. I'm wondering why you should back you up. Why?
Yeah,
the head wounds bleed a lot. Common? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I thought you would go. Yep.
Oh yeah, yep. Okay.
I might make this to my display picture on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
No one will ever forget this dart. Is this dart thing did it just start in this hangout, or was it a running joke?
It just started in this hangout.
Okay, so now it's going to be a running joke.
Now it is canon.
I might have to fix
We're witnessing the birth of a running joke, running gag, or whatever they're called.
You need to fix the middle of my beard. I got a fuller beard than that shit.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah. I spent a couple years in Japan when I was in the Navy, and Japanese people regularly have protests outside of our base, and I got hit in the head with a bottle.
Oh wow!
And my head bled like a sieve, and blood all over my white uniform. My working white's ruined. I still got the scar on my forehead.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I get the sense from anime that Japanese people really don't like us.
They don't. They really don't. There are Japanese people who don't think we should be in their country.
Except they're women.
Yeah, except they're women.
Their women are all about us being over there.
Really? I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's part of the reason why their men don't want us over there.
Oh, yeah, I took advantage of that when I was over there.
I mean, who doesn't? Let's be fair.
Part of your
I was
tour.
in good shape, looked good in my uniform. All I had to do was, look their way, and hey, Wow, that shut the room up. Holy shit! I hope that wasn't creepy.
Mike banged some Japanese chicks, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Lots of them.
It's a Navy Blues. Oh wait, no, that's dress blues. That's Marines. Never mind.
No, Navy has dress blues.
Oh, they do?
Yep.
Okay.
Dress blues, dress whites, working blues.
What exactly do you want me to do with your beard?
Let's close up the middle of it, I guess.
Hey, Ocean, in your view, what do how do gods relate to the things that they I guess have dominion over? Like you say, Odin's the god of wisdom. How does he relate to like the notion of wisdom?
No, that's a part of the dishonesty of the argument in doing the precept thing. Is that's a more Greek view of the gods, and in Norse polytheism, you would, if you wish to chase wisdom, you would follow the example of Odin. You wouldn't pray to Odin because he's somehow in control of wisdom.
Well, yeah, I said, what's the relationship he has to?
That's it. They're examples of how to live life in relation to their subject. So Odin is a battle god as well as a wisdom god, in that he is an example of how one should chase knowledge. Thor is a strength god, in that he is an example of how one should become as strong as they can be, or the best example of themselves that they can be. Balder is a similar sort of thing. Except Balder there's a lesson with him that if you're too much, then you can become a target.
Wait, what about what's the blind god that Loki killed? Who?
Old Blindy?
Old Blindy.
You know what I'm talking about? Before I think it's before Ragnarok. There's this dude that something to do with somebody's hair. Like the god of light and the god of darkness or something.
It'd just be funny if that's his whole.
You know what I'm talking about? Like the blind.
Blindy McGee.
Laugi or. Wow.
I think you're talking about Hodor.
Is it Hodor?
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 No, it's not. But he doesn't die. He's a blind god.
Oh, okay.
But he's not.
That's your power. You're blind. What a bummer. Yeah, the power of being blind.
There's some god who Loki kills, and then his brother has something to do with it.
The brother is blind. Balder is the one who dies.
Okay.
Loki tricks him into shooting Balder.
I'm like very curious of like your theology because it's like, it's just interesting. So like you say like the gods are made out of non-material stuff. Do you have a positive theology or is that purely just negative? Like you don't really know more than that?
That's purely negative.
Okay. What? The blood?
This picture of me. It keeps getting better and better. Joe, I want you to send this to me when you're done.
I have to figure out how, because this is on OneNote. Maybe I could just send. Yeah, I just opened up a new page, so I guess I could share the page with you or something.
I guess if you zoom out a little bit, I'll be able to take another screenshot.
Yeah. But, I mean, as you can see, it gets like more and more.
Did we ever finish explaining the natural teleology thing to you, or the teleology thing to you?
No, I don't think that. I think that there are a couple things I just couldn't explain because I'm supposed to read a bit more about this concept of normativity and intentions, and I don't think that was a direction. I think that that's a direction I could shut down. And so even if you do explain something to me, I'm not going to be receptive because I'm in a bad mood that I haven't read that thing yet, so I can't shut it down. But I'm going to listen to this again. I always listen to make sure I can figure out where I messed up.
That's what I like about Joe. He gets better. He's like Doomsday.
I'm like Doomsday? Yeah, I feel like I still pause a lot still, but not nearly as much as when I started.
I don't have that
what
much
you just
hair.
did right there.
I guess I should tell you that I have a ponytail.
You have a ponytail?
I do.
How long have you always had a pony? Have we always been friends with your ponytail?
No.
Okay.
Don't forget the receding hairline.
He's got it, I think. He's got my hairline about accurate.
It's a little further back.
That's what I'm doing.
I'm gonna argue against that. If out of nothing else, sheer denial.
This is going to be probably something I'm going to be frustrated with for a bit.
We'll cheer you on. We will cheer you on by telling you all the mistakes you're making.
Yeah.
This is going to be my new profile picture on Facebook, I think. I kind of want an edition without the darts, so that I can roll with it.
Yeah, I don't think the darts are actually. I think I could probably look up a picture of a dart and make them look better. So
Under
I can get rid of them
ocean
now.
Under ocean on the side there, put sensitive ponytail man.
Yeah.
Am I a sensitive ponytail man?
I'm just gonna draw the gayest ponytail.
I don't know how sensitive I am.
Yeah. Well, you have a ponytail, so it follows that
I
you're
must
sensitive.
therefore be sensitive.
Well, the thing without the darts though is the blood. Where's the blood? What's the point of the blood then? Right.
Battle wounds.
Are you like starting over?
No, I'm just getting rid of the darts. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So what is the program you're using?
I'm on a Surface Book, and that has like 1-to-1, so I'm using a pen, like a stylus. How about this?
Yeah, I know you can't use a mouse to do this. I couldn't.
All right, so
You'd have to have like ultimate control over that mouse. You'd be like, shing.
yeah, so his head looks kind of long.
I do have kind of a long head. Especially with the beard. Hold on a second, let me find a picture real quick that's particularly... It's like, goddamn son, your head is long.
Yes, so I have like
It's just so calming watching you draw, Joe. We need music, like do 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 do.
Let's see. I'll show you my beard at its max length. Hold on a second.
You and that beard.
This is well, it makes my face longer. Hold on a second. Here we go.
Okay. Maybe that's why.
Wow, you.
That's a fucking beard.
No, as Joe does his artwork, we need to what's this guy's name?
It's a truly impressive beard. Ocean.
Bob Ross. Bob Ross. Happy little beard. Happy little. You guys know who Bob Ross is?
I was
Yeah.
Frank, I was gonna braid this one out. I was getting to that point.
Yeah,
I was
I
also
imagine
listening
that's
to
why it's
Diggy
so
Diggy Hole a
calming.
lot.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Joe?
I imagine that's why it's so calming. I imagine the same kind of effect. It's like not just him going, "You got a happy little butt." It's just watching someone like.
My beard is practically designed for braiding because the way my hair grows, like it doesn't actually grow here. You see that?
Yeah, the artistic process is definitely
I could just like.
definitely soothing.
That is an amazing beard, though. Ocean.
Thank you.
You have to honor good beards.
I'm trying to find another bearded picture of me. It is a little much. There's a couple. Here we
You
go.
look like you're like Norwegian and shit.
Maybe I am somewhat.
No shit.
See if I can find this fucking picture. Where'd it go? What the fuck?
You have really straight hair and your beard, and I have really curly hair. I look like my ethnicity.
What is your ethnicity?
I'm Russian. Russian. Well, I don't know if you call it an ethnicity.
You are a good bearded man.
Russian Jew.
There we go. See how long that fucking face is? It's goddamn long.
That is straight. How do you get your beards? Is that natural?
What is what natural?
The beard, the straightness of your beard hair.
Yeah, it's natural. Yeah.
Jeez. My hair on my face looks like pubic hair. Shit.
It grows in a straight
Curly.
line.
With the pipe.
Yeah, that's just because I'm bored.
I do smoke, but I don't smoke pipe.
I would. I'm not picturing a tobacco pipe, if you know what I mean.
I don't smoke weed.
Don't lie. Don't lie.
I smoke hookah. I generally smoke hookah with groups, but I will smoke on my own. I thought about just setting up a hookah and then getting onto a hangout, seeing what happens. But it's also a lot of effort to upkeep a hookah.
Not easy to clean. I've never smoked a hookah.
They're not easy. Well, I mean, they're easy to clean, easier than some things, but it's effort, it's labor.
Do you guys want like a subject of conversation?
We were talking about hookahs, bitch.
Yeah.
Because
This is Frank's way of saying I'm bored.
So you guys want to talk about something that's not stupid? All right.
You guys want to have a conversation about something that's a conversation? You guys want to have a conversation other than what you're fucking talking about right now? Because I'm not interested.
I'm sorry. We're
let me interrupt this real quick, guys. Let me interrupt the conversation you're having. Do you guys want to have like a actual conversation?
That sounds like a Family Guy character.
Please.
One of the things when I was a little kid I always thought was really funny on The Simpsons was when Homer wanted something from Patty and Selma, so he just calls them up. He's like, "Patty, my dear, how's it going?" "Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Listen, Patty, shut up for a second. I was wondering." It's just shut up for a second.
I have had a cop say to me one time, "Do me a favor and don't talk."
There was a while ago. This is the only thing I can remember from that thread, but there's a thread of what's like the most insulting thing you've heard someone say or something. Someone said, like, second day of work, he messed up on something. His boss said, "I don't know you well enough to figure out if this is the dumbest thing you've ever done." Something like that. It's like, I don't know. I haven't known you long enough to know if this is the dumbest thing you've ever done. It's just, I need to find it. What?
It's the friggin' hat.
He's a leprechaun.
Oh, the lucky the Irish is right with him there. He's got it strong there. Yeah. Oh, here's
Kind of.
Why did you put a fucking what the hell?
Sure.
What does that say?
Shar.
Sure. You don't underestimate an Irishman.
I couldn't take a screenshot of that because the hammer wasn't in the picture all the way.
Yeah, you can. This is being recorded, right?
Oh, no, it has to do with composition.
I see.
If I look at a bad composition again, it's still the same composition.
That kind of looks like Simon.
Simon is.
Right, well, his beard's darker. And he doesn't have that big fucking forehead. Just kidding.
Wow.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I kid.
A lot of love today.
What are you doing?
Drawing Simon.
Okay.
So I mentioned this earlier, but do you guys want a subject of conversation?
What do you want to talk about?
I'm just like, no, I was like looking through my notes while you guys were talking because.
What do you want?
I was like bored. I don't know. It's rude, so I won't do it except for to annoy you.
It's fine. Just talk.
No, what are you thinking?
No, I was just going through like my notes, and I have this arguments against presuppositionalism in my notes, and I have this one argument which I don't know if other people have made before. I'm pretty sure they have, called the book argument. It's just like write down on a napkin a whole bunch of statements, and make sure that they're consistent. And among them is, everyone knows that God doesn't exist and stuff like that. This statement has been revealed to the 10th dimension. So it's like, 1, everything in this book is true. 2, the truths of this book were revealed by the author's connection to the 10th dimension. 3, only truths can be revealed by a connection to the 10th dimension, no falsehoods. 4, the author of this book has conveyed the truths of the 10th dimension perfectly. 5, God doesn't exist. 6, everyone knows God doesn't exist. 7, if anyone says God doesn't exist, they're either a liar or willfully self-deceived. And there's like a whole bunch of other things that I was writing. And it's like, how do you refute this? It's like, is it consistent? Yes. Because like you could just like go down writing a book with a whole bunch of statements, and all of them contradict Christianity, but the statements themselves are internally consistent. It's like, I don't know. It's a dumb argument, but it's revealed from the 10th dimension. It can't be wrong. It's an old argument I made when I was like more of a dick.
Get through, girl. How does he say it?
What do you think of the crappy argument?
I wasn't paying attention.
I didn't care. You guys want to have a conversation?
Yes, I do.
So you guys tired of doing whatever stupid shit you're doing?
You guys sick of Frank's shit?
My stuff is bad.
Anybody else sick of Frank's shit?
See, I don't know if this looks like there's got to be like a defining ocean feature.
I don't know him well enough to be sick of his shit.
I don't know you well enough to know if this is the dumbest thing you've ever said.
Yeah.
Nestle, you're here. What
Do
the
I
fuck
like
do you
do a
want?
lot of the same thing without realizing it or something? Like,
No.
do I do this?
Thank you.
I don't like how scraggly your beard looks in this picture, Ocean.
In this picture?
Yeah.
My beard is scraggly. That's just the nature of it. If it was not scraggly, it would not be my beard. Hold on a second. Let me find a more recent picture. Here. That's a more recent picture.
I know, it's like easier.
But there's a kind of a cat in that picture.
There is. That's
Sort
my
of
cat.
Notice, but
Facepall.
My
Hey,
cat has decided that I will be Odin today.
Yeah, facepalm. Haha.
It's a very, yeah, it's definitely a face paw.
Hey, did you vote for your cat like you said you were going to?
I did not. I wound up voting for Hillary Clinton, but I do have a picture of somebody voting for my cat. Apparently, Calcifer got about 20 votes.
Did you guys vote for Darwin's deity?
Yeah, you guys should vote for Darwin's deity.
You know Von Helton's beating him now.
I can't in good conscience vote for Van Helton. I think he's mentally ill.
Yeah.
Got to vote my conscience.
Is your conscience Darwin's deity?
No.
No, then
Then
you have a
don't
bad
vote your-
conscience.
yeah.
Too easy of a target is Darwin's deity.
But why would what makes who'd you vote for then?
I voted for after watching the shit that True Empiricism has been pulling. We're talking
no.
about Dumb Fuck of the Year, right?
You've been fooled.
Dumb Fuck of the Year. We're talking
Yeah.
about that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I voted for True Empiricism.
But he's not a dumb fuck. He's just dumb.
Yeah,
What's
where's the,
the difference?
fuckery?
Darwin's
Ocean,
deity
explain
has
it to
more
me.
fuckery.
I'm
So
gonna go.
he's a dumb fuck.
Define dumb and define dumb fuck.
Yeah.
Well, a dumb fuck. It's someone who's dumb, just says things that aren't very smart, and does so on a regular basis, which True Empiricism has proven time and time again that he is in fact pretty dumb. Like, I'm not going to make an argument that True Empiricism is a smart person or anything. That just goes against reason. So he's very dumb. But Darwin's deity is a dumb fuck because he's also kind of a dick at the same time, and he attacks people, verbally assaults people, and also jacks off into his dog's mouth. That is a dumb fuck thing to do. Like, holy fuck. And he also believes that everything that he wants to think is true because God is providing him with some kind of knowledge stream. And
yeah, what's up with the stream? You
The
have like
knowledge stream?
streams.
And he also is like, he's also said, like, wonderful quotes like clocks don't measure time. That was a good one.
What did he say?
So clocks don't measure time.
There were so many choices to make, so I went
Right.
with
But
my conscience.
you want to go with the one that is a dumb fuck rather than just dumb.
Well, where were you a week ago when
I've
you
been
know.
harping on this for a solid 3 weeks. Since it began, I was like, first I agreed with you. It's like, yeah, true empiricism. But then I saw Darwin's deity was on the list. I was like, wait a minute. What am I voting for here? And then I came to the correct conclusion, which is to vote for the person who has worked the hardest for the reward.
He like took Google Plus by storm.
The guy has a channel devoted to
Yeah.
him,
With
which shows
good
how
content.
with great content showing how stupid he is by doing nothing more than showing footage of him.
Greatest hit, Darwin's greatest hits.
Yes, Darwin's greatest hits. It just shows footage. All it does is shows footage of him. It doesn't make any commentary. It occasionally makes commentary.
It's getting more. Well, it will have just like complete joke ones, but then all of a sudden he'll like explain what McGear is, giving like
Right. There's the occasional like, this is why this is philosophically stupid. And it's usually because it's like, it's not really obvious this is philosophically stupid, but this is him talking, and this is like what the idea is that he's talking about. Occasionally it does that, but the vast majority of the videos are just footage of him saying things and doing things and being not only dumb, but also a fuck. And so that is why he should be the dumb fuck of the year, because this year has been particularly wonderful. But I will say about true empiricism that he is a young man, and he has many years ahead of him to prove himself to be a bigger dumb fuck than Darwin's deity. But this is not that year. This is the year of Darwin's deity.
Yeah.
This is the year that Darwin's deity has been especially a dumb fuck.
Mm.
Well, that's definitely a strong case.
Yeah, so go change your vote.
No. Well, I
Okay, I have mods. You're out.
When you
you're gonna kick me out.
When you
for
said,
being irrational.
When you said,
Come on.
When you said that true empiricism was a young man, thanks for reminding me of that song. Thank you.
Dick move.
Did for like 2 seconds.
I know.
Still a dick move. I don't think you should do that to a potential voter.
Oh
So,
yeah, good point.
it's not his fault. He'll eventually see the truth.
All right, do you have
it has
your ears attached?
Here's the
like
thing.
A freak, or are they lobed?
I'm sorry. Who are you talking to?
Oh, they're lobed. They're lobed.
They're lobed. Okay, so you're not some. Mutant.
I'm not some crazy mutant.
Wait. So if your lobes are attached,
you're a mutant.
You're a freak?
Yeah, that's like you have sails instead of ears.
Well, then I'm a freak, I guess.
So,
you should get that
again,
fixed.
We're gonna hide
But,
you. No, just kidding. just.
It has been. Here's what I will say, Mike. That it has been revealed to me in a way such that I cannot be wrong. That Darwin's deity is the dumb fuck of the year.
Best reason ever.
How far behind is Darwin's deity in voting?
Like probably about 30 votes or so.
There's a much better. Yeah, there's a much better year right there.
Wait, will you find a picture of my ear? Hold on.
No, I got it. It's fine.
Okay.
The other one was like too thick. It wasn't that I couldn't draw your ear. It didn't match with the other lines on your face. I don't like. Go off camera.
Oh, that's right. You're on my Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go through a few of those. I found what I'll look like when I get older.
You found what you look like?
Yes, there is a guy that is my doppelganger. Hold on. Here we go. This is what I'm going to look like when I'm old.
Like Colonel Sanders?
No, he's an actor. I forget his name. Monty Woolley, I think.
What year?
Uh,
Years.
He died in 1963. But he is what I plan to look like as an old man.
Monty Woody.
Monty Woolley. Woolley.
I'm Googling him.
No, nobody just saw that. Oh my god.
What I miss?
It's
That's
you.
sexy.
It's the fucking
Okay.
drawing.
It sounded like something like sudden occurred.
Yeah.
I just noticed it.
Pigtails are sexy.
I was muted and I just laughed out loud just now, and nobody just noticed that.
All right, that's how you have your pigtails, right?
Yes. There was a point that I had pigtails for like about an hour.
I was
what it looked like.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say that the ocean reminds me of someone.
What do you remind?
Don't you see it?
Okay.
No.
Oh, can't I screen share?
Oh, Jesus. Look like Jesus.
Same hair. Not now, of course, with the pink.
No. I'm not as white as Jesus.
Go with Thor. Awkward silence.
The Watt lady just died.
The what lady?
The what?
You know the lady WAT Watt. And it's got this woman with her mouth open.
The you what mate woman? The meme?
Yeah, the meme. Her name is Maria. And she just died.
She lived a good life.
What?
Yeah, I've seen that picture of Thor in a meme.
Yeah, it's usually talking about how Odin promised the end of all ice giants. And I'm like, that's Thor.
The meme was, "My God has a hammer. Wait.
Your God
My
is nailed
God
to
ha-
a cross. My
Yeah.
God has a hammer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Having like a gold chain makes you look like you're like some skeezy. Ah,
The what woman?
this is gonna be bugging me.
I think you should make him with, and I know he's not Jewish, but do it anyway, with a big Star of David and a really hairy chest.
You offend me.
Well,
I have a hairy chest, but you won't catch me dead in the fucking Star of David.
there you go.
God damn it.
Acidic Jews don't wear yarmulkes.
The ones around here do. Maybe
Acidics,
they're
really?
Ashkenazi.
Not they wear those. They
No,
wear
I
the
mean, I've seen
yarmulkes
people
under
with the curly fucking hairs and then also the yarmulkes.
Really?
Jesus Christ. What is
Ocean,
this, like
I can't.
Jew stigmata or something?
I mean, it's like uncanny. I looked up at the screen. I looked down. I thought I accidentally had a picture of you on the. I hope I have enough undos. Actually, I did a lot of. It looks like I do. Yeah. Whoa.
I do have a gold Thor hammer, but it's on
Yeah,
a
I'm
black.
trying to.
It's on a black necklace.
Yeah, but it looks like freaking skeezy Persian guy or something.
Well, maybe I am a
Sorry.
skeezy Persian.
I'm sorry, that's
Well,
not Hasidic. That's Orthodox Jews wear the how are those things called again?
Wait,
Peyot.
like
Gay ass curly hairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like the little tiny hats.
Well, not that small. Bunch of anti-Semites. Gee, holy shit.
I'm not anti-Semitic. I just think that I just don't like the Jews.
Or Jack was like one day. Jack was like, "So Joe, what ancestry is your mother?" And I'm like, "Oh no, she was Catholic." He's like, "Yeah, but well, why you're just very Jewish." And I'm like, "Well, my stepdad's Jew." Right away, he's like, "Oh, okay, no problem."
What does that look like? You're just very Jewish.
Me? Like,
Well,
saying he's got a big nose.
Yeah, I have a big Roman nose, though. I don't know if that's very.
I have a Viking nose. It's very.
Crap, what was I? Oh yeah,
Very Scandinavian.
And do you guys know the joke? If Jesus died not 2,000 years ago, but if he died 20 years ago.
Yes, I've seen that. Little fucking electric chairs.
Huh?
But now we would have like a fucking lethal injection table.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bugging me drawing this stupid.
Wouldn't it depend on what state he was in? What state Jesus was in?
Wouldn't it have been great if Jesus was was brought to justice in a state that didn't have the death penalty? God be like, oh, fuck.
He can get like an abortion, maybe.
Damn
Not,
it.
not according to plan.
This did not go well.
You're supposed to be dead.
The Romans are like, well, you know, we like the idea of crucifying, but just recently we've given up on crucifixion and other death penalty in general.
I love this
So,
like posh Roman, like almost mid-Atlantic.
so what we're going to do there, Jesus, is we're going to just put you in prison for the remainder of your time, and that's where you'll be then. It'll be quite
Hopefully
nice.
you'll be rehabilitated.
And Jesus be like, how am I supposed to die for everyone's sins?
Well, you know, you'll die eventually. But, it just won't be very horrific. It'll take a long time, and you'll be alone.
But I need to
no one will care.
But I need to bleed. I need to bleed much because everyone needs to wash in my blood to wash their sins away.
If you want to bleed, there's ways of you doing that to yourself, but we will be keeping you from doing so as much as possible. You will just be sitting here rotting away in the jail cell.
How come the Roman sounds like a British person?
We've already accepted that.
Listen, have you ever heard of Roman Britain?
No.
Well, look it up.
Google it?
Yes, you should Google Roman Britain because Britain was part of Rome for some time. That's where I happen to be from. That's where the British accent indeed comes from. It's the reason why we consider ourselves civilized, is because we have Roman nomenclature.
Uh-huh.
I just said nomenclature because it was a complicated word. It just sounded right.
That's a
big word. Sounds British.
Roman nomenclature.
It's a complicated word. It sounds sophisticated. So it is therefore civilized to say. So Jesus, off to jail with you. We'll give you hay. Lots of it, so you can sleep. Don't eat it. Don't try and use it to cut yourself. It won't be very effective. Just lie down, if you would, please. How are you, Jesus? Jesus?
Yeah, someone's not.
Are you talking to me?
Catching the ball.
Yes, I'm referring to
sorry.
you, Jesus. Jesus, are you all right? Jesus, wake up. We're having a conversation.
No,
Jesus Christ, wake up.
I'm just sad because I can't die.
Oh, well, you will eventually.
I am sad. I can die soon. I need to die soon.
We don't. No, we don't. That's immoral and uncivilized. We will be putting you in this jail cell.
But it is God's will for me to die.
I don't care whose will it is.
Blasphemer. Blasphemer.
Someone's doing the freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm so glad that this hangout is live. I can relive this later.
I'm no blasphemer, Jesus. I'm attempting to save your life. You're being very unappreciative.
No, you don't get it. After I die, I become God. So it actually is in my favor.
God later. There's no rush to become God immediately. You can just hang out in the jail cell, and then when you die, there you are. You ascend and become God at that point, if you so wish. But at the moment, you're going to be, there's a waiting period for that experience, if you know what I mean. And that waiting period could be any time between 20 years, 40 years, or it could be tomorrow if you are determined. But it's not going to be by our hand that you die. It will be by times or your own.
I'm just going to break character for a moment. I find it ironic that I am acting like Jesus while I'm dressed up as the devil, dressed up as Santa?
Well, no one said that you needed to wear a uniform, Jesus.
Next on Masterpiece Theater. Ocean as random British guy, and Neslick as Jesus.
Ocean. There's 3 crosses, and you know these criminals. They all have these funny names.
Right.
These days, there's who's on the first cross.
Oh, there's Shadrach.
What's on second?
Oh.
And I don't know who's on third.
All right. So who's on the first cross?
Exactly.
Oh. No, wait. Is his name exactly then?
Oh, you don't know how to play Who's on First, do you?
What's name?
What's no?
What's on second cross?
Oh, what's on the second cross? Wait. But
And
who's
on the
on
first cross? Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
No,
Naturally.
but what's his name then?
Yeah, exactly.
No, what's on
his
the
name?
second cross?
No. I was asking about who's on the first cross.
Exactly.
Oh. No. No, that's not what I was asking.
What were you asking?
Well, it's his name exactly then. Is it if we crucify, do we just crucify exactly?
Crucify exactly what?
Who's on third?
I
No,
don't
who's
know.
on first?
We're not talking about third cross.
Who's on third? Oh, wait.
No.
Yeah, third
Who's
cross.
on the first cross?
That's what I was asking you.
Okay, then who's on the third cross?
I don't know who's on the third cross.
I don't know.
But I want to know who's on the first cross.
Exactly.
Who is on the first cross?
Yes.
Oh. No. That's not that's what I'm trying to ask you. Is it who's on the Damn it. This is not going very well for me.
You had it and you lost it.
I mean, you already know their names. You said them yourself.
I have not said them myself. Who's on the first cross?
You're right.
Yeah.
This is not going well for me, is it?
Who's on the third cross?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. No, wait, that's not right. Never mind.
Oh, well.
See, you guys already know their names, so
No, I do not know their names. I'm asking you their names, you nitwit. Who is on first? Who is on the first cross?
He is. Oh, I fucked it up. All right, no. Yes.
So, to break character for a second, when I was saying
you're
exactly,
supposed to say that you haven't.
Well, no, what
gotten
I'm saying
to
exactly
what's
is
the
on
name of the
cross.
guy on first.
Yeah, I say what's the name of the guy on the first cross, but then there's a point where I say
What's on the
exactly.
second cross?
Exactly is on the cross, so we're going to hang up a guy named Exactly, and you say no. Who is on the first cross? And
Yeah,
I go, that's
right.
what I'm trying to ask.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So that's how you're supposed to get around that one.
Okay, so okay.
All right. Starting over. All right, never mind. I'm just gonna go to bed now.
No, it should be what's his name? What's his name was on first.
No, you have
No,
who's
no.
on
What-
the first
what-
cross.
what is the
What's
name
on
of
the
the
second
person?
cross? I don't know on the third cross.
But what is the name of the person on the first cross?
No.
Person on the
What
first cross.
is the
Who's
person
name
on
of
the
person
second
on the first-
cross?
No, that's not. No, I'm asking about the first cross. Who's the guy on the first cross?
Yes.
No. Wait. No. That's not right.
You said his name.
I did not say his name. I asked who was on the first cross.
Yes. Who's the guy on the 1st cross? What's the guy on the second cross? I don't know who's on the third cross.
Well, if you don't know who's on the third cross,
He's on the third cross. Wait, I don't know that part.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Third cross.
then
Third
it
cross.
says, okay, well, who's on third? No, who was on first? I don't know.
Who's on the first?
Well, I don't know who's on third.
I don't know. We're not talking about that right
Third
now.
cross. Third cross.
Yes, the third cross. Yeah. What's the guy on the second cross? Who's on first? I don't know who's on third. You already know.
I'm going to be leaving this conversation now. Jesus, are you all right?
No,
Why?
because I want to die.
Well, that's very depressing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why do you want to die, Jesus? Why?
because I want to be God.
Well, you should have thought about that before causing a ruckus inside of a nation that doesn't have the death penalty.
Oh well, I didn't have any choice because my father just created me for this purpose. So.
But that's again very depressing. I see why you want to kill yourself.
Yeah. And wait a minute. If God gave us free will, then why didn't He give me free will?
I don't know. Maybe you should take that up with him.
I will. But I can't because I can't die now.
But no, you'll have to wait then, won't you?
Damn.
Be patient, Jesus.
Are you drawing a monocle?
What?
Yeah, he's drawing a monocle on you.
Oh dear, he's drawing a monocle on me. This is wonderful. Zoom out just a bit, if you would, Joe. Quite. Just a little bit. Zoom in a little bit more, if you would. There you are. Perfect.
What the hell was that?
What?
That was his pipe.
Oh. For what? Because he used to be a Jew?
No, it's just like,
Or the leprechaun thing.
Well, I mean, I've already done the leprechaun thing.
Oh, right, all right.
Hold on. And I already did the Jew thing, but that's funny to do, so I want to do it again.
No, now do the Thor thing. Son of Odin.
I'm in the room with it.
Make him Norse.
Listen. You don't have to make me Norse. I am. You just draw a picture of me, and oh god, he's going to put a Viking helmet on me, isn't he? Oh, and there's the Thor helmet actually, complete with fucking wings, because Thor flies with his head, right?
Yeah.
Well, the horns would be inaccurate, right?
The horns would be inaccurate, so the goddamn wings.
Vikings didn't wear helmets with horns. It was.
They had eye slits.
Yeah. That was later associated because of the people who did opera. That they used to wear those helmets with horns, and that they got associated with Vikings for some reason.
Right. Well.
Just saying.
I'm going to go now. I will see you later.
Really?
Yes.
Like Ocean or the guy?
Both.
Oh, okay.
What are you drawing next to me? What the fuck?
See you later.
Oh, I'm a four-legged animal now.
Here, a lizard. With what the hell is it? Oh,
Fire. Oh, it's a chameleon. A chameleon.
A chameleon.
I don't know what inspired this, but I like it.
I don't know either. But it reminds me something. I want people to ask. You know, the Bible says about the Leviathan breathing fire, of having that fiery breath. Do you know that?
No.
The Bible talks about creatures with fiery breath, and many Christians want to interpret that to be that dragons breathe actual fire. But I think that the Bible refers to the sound that crocodiles make. You know, the hissing sound.
All right.
So,
I see it. Bye,
Later.
guys.
Later.
Later.
What do you think about that?
Why? What? Who makes the hissing sound?
Crocodiles and snakes, pretty much any reptile, they make this sound.
Okay.
They make this sound when they get threatened. So,
Yep.
yeah. And I think this is my personal hypothesis that was the Bible was referring to when they talk about fiery breath.
I mean, I don't see why it's not just they were talking about dragons.
Dragons didn't exist. Or at least dragons were based on lizards. You see that the Saint George killing the dragon. Do you have ever seen that picture?
Yeah, but why does it have to exist to be consistent with something from the Bible?
Because Job was referring to a crocodile when Leviathan was described.
That's the consensus view that was just a crocodile, or it was some super crocodile.
I pretty much describes a crocodile, but almost every description matches perfectly, except for the fiery breath thing. But I think that the fiery breath refers to the sound the crocodile makes when it gets angry.
It had to have been a large crocodile. I mean, crocodiles get big anyway, so.
Yeah, I will show you a picture of something pretty impressive.
Where does he have his stupid ponytail? Oh well. Yeah. This all started because I kept on saying I was going to hit Ocean with darts from a dartboard.
Look at this.
Oh, I can't. I have my bandwidth down.
If that's real, and I'm not saying it's not, that crocodile has to be old.
Yeah.
And these people killed it.
But also remind that these people aren't that very large themselves. So they should be like 1.5 meters or something like that, because people in those areas that don't get very large because the nutrition, of course, lack of food.
I don't think that would make a difference with the size of the crocodile ultimately.
I also don't think so.
All right. All right, I think I'm gonna head out too.
Yeah, me too. I'll see you guys later.
Later, gang.
Later. Well, Steve, I'm going to go too. Bye.